ocean. I'm at the bottom of the sea. I'm at the bottom of the ocean. Don't know if I'll make it back home. At the bottom of the ocean. I'm at the bottom of the sea. I'm at the bottom of the ocean. Don't know if I'll make it back home.
everybody, and welcome to the opening week of the Upsurge Minor League Summer 2021 League. It is audio and joined for the first time ever, first time of hopefully many, by Rude Dude. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. Excited to get this new season kicked off and underway. There's only one way to go from here to get ourselves into those games. Everybody, for the first and only time here, on a level playing field here. 0-0, the scores have been reset, the rosters have been reshuffled, and, first game's about to get underway, so it should be a good time regardless.
Yeah, time for old kings to come back to defend their throne, and time for new challengers to rise. Now, speaking of returning players, we do see a couple of friendly faces in the squad today. We're going to see Maroon take on Aquatik Esports in week number 1. And if you were paying attention to the UML last season, you might recognize Snow 2. Maroon's mid laner was formerly the jungler for Wichita Wolves Black. They finished 3rd in the last season in playoffs, and now he's made a lane swap into mid, bringing along with him 2 players from Wichita Wolves Red, their sister team in Urasan and Applause. So excited to see them come back onto the stage. Across the way, Aquatik Esports, they're pretty new to me. We haven't really seen them or any of their players show up much, but I'm excited to see what they can show us tonight.
So am I, and for you guys as well that may not be quite so in tuned with the full-on NA amateur scene, Snow 2 actually had a little bit of a stint in Proving Grounds as well. Did briefly show up on their Black's Proving Ground roster in their open qualifiers into the Risen Tier 2. Previewed as a top laner there, so even more diversity to this guy's flexibility, a thorough understanding of all of the roles, at least on that top side of the map. Definitely going to be demonstrated here, but you are quite right, Audio, that we've got a fresh face in Aquatik Esports, so something to be proved by these guys, no doubt. But that's not to say that these mainstay veterans can't be challenged.
Absolutely. And now getting into competitive League of Legends, these 5v5s, when teamwork is so important. Obviously, we don't I don't like to put a lot of stock when I do prep into solo queue, but we can peek at those records just because Aquatik are pretty new faces to us. And one player that sticks out when I bring up the OP.GGs is Savvy Less, or Say Less rather, in the bot lane. Coming in, has currently a 67% win rate as an ADC in Masters 27 LP. So, definitely has those mechanics at least to get up in the ranks. We'll be excited to watch him go up against Urasan, one of the before mentioned Wichita Wolves Red members. He was actually a substitute, if I do remember correctly, last season, now getting his chance at the starting lineup.
Yeah, so that raw talent from solo queue coming over. We'll have to see how well that meshes into that full-on 5 versus 5 competitive scenario, because raw talent will only get you so far here. You are looking to hopefully mesh well with the team, and of course, what is an AD carry without their support here? So a lot of onus, a lot of priority going
Depends
to be
on who you
onto...
ask.
Well, that's also true. But I would dare say, as an AD carry player myself, that if my support is getting a little bit too liberal with his Usain Bolt impression down in the bot lane, that my game isn't going to be too fun either. And looking, taking those quick little glimpses at Hypnotic Viper, the support that we're going to be seeing, at least for this game, supposedly, also an AD carry main. So, putting some stock into this bot lane might just catch you off guard in terms of this incredibly high talented and sort of high variance AD carry that we've got for in Say Less. But Hypnotic Viper down on that bot side as the support player, maybe not as well experienced, but coming through from that AD carry role, we'll still have an understanding of what at the very least they would want if they were in their shoes.
Yeah, and traditionally the marksman and support roles haven't overlapped too much in terms of champion pool. I do really appreciate what Senna did to break up that meta though, because all of a sudden we kind of see a situation where maybe a marksman player can play support, just go on Senna, get into farming Senna lane. You can still sort of masquerade as that traditional on-hit marksman. You're just getting a lot less gold, trading it for that soul power. So I'm excited to see what combos might come out. It should be a wild game, especially in the current state of the meta. We don't see a lot of Viegos or Gwens or any of the newer champions in the match history on solo queue, but we do see a lot of fun one tricks. I know you had a couple that you had your eyes on when you were looking through.
I'm definitely looking to see how the teams adapt from top end.
Already see
League of
some coming
Legends,
through the bands.
to the bottom end here. And yeah, these bans now about to come through up on the table. We've got that. Is that the Anivia already taken away here, coming on out? That's going to be a pretty early doors one trick ban straight off the gate right here, because it's this is the champion that Professor Hex, the mid laner here, is definitely very proficient on, over 100 games so far this season, and that compared to his second most played at about 40 of Nico.
And just firing right along here. I mean, the Rek'Sai, that's Atlas XD, 194 games on that one. The Echo as well. It's a one trick on the other side. I mean, this is just basically, if you print out the op.ggs, I mean, you're looking at the ban list right there down the line. So at least these teams did their homework for sure.
Yeah.
And there, finally, we are going to see one of the more premier champions hit the ban table. Dare do not want to let that Gwen go over, and even though they have blue side, they're not comfortable to first pick it.
No, and that just goes to show a little bit of champion inconsistency, maybe some not willingness to take that Gwen into the top lane, and that's absolutely fine. They've found the answer to not wanting to play Gwen themselves, and it is to simply ban it on out. We do see the rest of those bans, and if you're a little bit confused by them, the Anivia, the Echo, Shen, and Rek'Sai, all hard one-trick bans toward their respective lanes, respective roles. One champion that does slightly stand out would be the Cassiopeia in the mid lane for Snow, should they want to try and take that one. It is a sort of comfort pick, but Cassio does have a lot of weaknesses, and to begin with, they take themselves a very strong champion in the Nocturne. The current meta right now, in case you are mistaken, ladies and gentlemen, is flex, flex, flex. Pick as much as you can that can go into as many different roles, and Nocturne fits that brief very, very well.
And it fits it even more for Dare, right? Because we're talking about Snow, who was the jungler for Wichita Wolves Black, third place team last season, now coming in the mid lane. This is one of his more played champions, at least in recent solo queue, and it would make sense to give him something that he would have experience on. Although Answered, Aquatik, we talked about their double marksman players. Now one of them's playing support, so I don't expect a Tristana to go there. But another possible flex pick, going to be Answered in the ADC role. The Kai'Sa Nautilus, we know it well, and it's looking to be a dive comp coming through for Dare Maroon.
Yeah, and dive is exactly what they can do. If this Nautilus gets locked in, I'm a great fan, because not only does it aid their composition in the diving strategies, also is a very strong answer to the Tristana. Tristana notably having that rocket jump, which gets her out of most Hook champions engage tools. Nautilus, the one exception, the interaction between rocket jump and the dredge line, not favorable for the Tristana by any means, makes that timing window incredibly narrow, and most of the time we're expecting the Nautilus to be able to come out on top. Nautilus as well has 3 applications of CC, which is 3 plasma stacks for the Kai'Sa, meaning that a single W, if the Kai'Sa is not really close enough or doesn't have ultimate or cooldown, will be proccing that full 5 stacks, getting an incredible burst of damage if that W does connect. And of course, with 3 applications of CC, that's 3 more chances for the Kai'Sa to use that killer instinct in to try and blow up anybody in the backline.
Yeah, Aquatik, though, they're not backing down from the challenge. They've drafted plenty of dive for themselves. Leona coming through. Obviously, you've got Volibear, who is the king of tower dives, able to just completely shut them off. And Tristana loves to be hopping around the battlefield. So, in my mind, depending on what these last 2 picks are obviously going to tilt the scales. But this is going to be a very bloody and could be a very snowbally game. If both teams just want to be hitting that go button all the time, you start to fall behind. your only option is to just keep going in, and that can be a very slippery slope. Set. Ooh, that's a mathematical pick right there.
Quite right. This champion does have some fairly insane damages right now. If you do find yourself in the midst of that true damage of the Haymaker, expect your health bar to be going bye-bye very quickly. It's also a sort of disengaged champion as well, weirdly. If you see the Nocturne flying on in, guess what? You have a tool to take him right back out of your backline and give yourself essentially a free engage in that matter as well. The Nautilus potentially used for that exact same case. But there, you know, these guys are all doubling down on dive, all doubling down on going in here this time round, which can create some fairly unique dynamics. You know, if you think of a traditional 5v5 where everybody's lined up and then both teams press their engage tools, jump past one another, they just end up switching places. And, you know, you're expecting skills to be traded along the way. Well, there's a very real possibility that these guys kind of get lost in these team fights, that everybody kind of get mixed on up. And with an Urgot here, this could very well be blind. It's worth noting that Set can be flexed into the mid lane. Volibear can be flexed into the jungle. Would rely on having a strong AP top laner here for Aquatik, but there's a chance here to put this Urgot in a little bit of a rough matchup, and that's exactly what they do here. They're going to take the cannon up into the top lane, make it so that nobody's versus this Urgot, the melee abuser himself up on that top side, pivot that composition on its head, and now the R5 pick really does come through and goes to show the power of it.
Yeah, so up until that very last round, the compositions from Dare and Aquatik actually play very similar in style. It's very much you just want to dive. And like you said, if everybody presses those buttons, you can essentially just switch places because they all want to do the same thing. Urgot throws a wrench into that, where he's now the lane where Dare want to try to use all of the global tools that they've set up for themselves. Nocturne, Galio, these are the small differences in the comp for Dare, is that they are very ultimate reliant, but those ultimates are very powerful. They're cross-map ultimates. And so if they're able to get leads in the early laning phase, they can use those level 6s as a springboard and just catapult the game forward. Aquatik, though, they are much less reliant on hitting that level 6. Leona, Set, Volibear, Tristana, they want to get up into your face fast and early. So there is actually a little bit of a clock here on Aquatik. Even though these compositions are very similar in style, Aquatik definitely have the burden of tempo, where they are going to have to be proactive early on, because once those level 6s come in, the scales start to tip a little bit back over because of those really big ultimates. So that's what I want from Aquatik here, especially I think they recognize that with the Kennen coming in last pick. They're here to smash lane. They want to make these champions irrelevant by level 6.
Yeah, and I think that another onus for Aquatik, if they don't find that lead at level 6, yes, puts them a little bit behind, but then that plays into how well can they read the map, how well can they keep tracking of the Nocturne, because for this Nocturne, which we're assuming is going to be going into the jungle here, barring any extreme flexes with a Nautilus in the jungle, Galio down to support, Nocturne flexing into that mid lane. That first paranoia, we always talk about it, casters across the world renownedly will tell you, if that first paranoia makes a successful kill, then you feel good. If it is subpar, not quite up to standard, then you're going to be feeling a little bit worse for wear, and you feel like you've really wasted all of that power farming up to level 6. Volibear much better in the early stages pre that level 6 marker, and even post level 6 still comes online in an even bigger way. We'll talk about these turret dives though, and we're looking at the lanes here and who you're going to be able to be diving on. And you know, you're looking at the top lane, Kennen, can he acquire push over an Urgot? Probably, but Urgot has decent enough wave clear to push that back in time. Similarly in the mid lane, Galio probably not going to have that level of priority to be pushing against the Set, but will probably be having the wave clear to deny that, and the dives as such might be quite difficult. And in that case, you're looking down toward the bot lane to maybe try and make something happen. But if you're looking at this from a Dare perspective with those level 6s, that's exactly where they want you to go. They've got Nocturne, they've got Galio coming out the woodwork, TP from Urgot, they can do everything they want.
All right, Rude. Well, let's not tire our brains out before game number 1 even gets underway. We do have a best of 3 on our hands tonight. We're going to toss it over to a short break as these players get ready to load onto Summoner's Rift. Don't go anywhere. It's game 1 going on right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Sorry for the wait, but we're back on Summoner's Rift for week number 1 of the UML. And I am so excited, Rudude. We've got a whole season of some great League of Legends ahead of us. And if you are a fan of the UML already, you know that these games can get wild.
I am also excited here. The first in a long line of games here on this Monday evening. We'll be showing off a best of 3 here tonight, and then of course plenty of best of 3s to come throughout the weeks that do proceed tonight. And it all starts tonight here with their up against Aquatik to see who can take home the series number 1 bacon. Of course, the best of 3 tonight, so potential for 3 games and potential, of course, for a banger set of series to really start unfolding here. Equally, potential for a quick 2-0. The point at this stage is that we don't know how strong these teams are. There is no prior standings for us to base it off. It is all up in the air right now. And we sort of have to look at those compositions and see if we find anybody that we have any sort of prejudice towards, or maybe the opposite here, a bit of a favouring with the with the built compositions that they've got. And honestly, I'm gonna just say it. I'm a fan of the Kennen.
Yeah, I am too. I think Kennen is such an impressive lane bully, and early on, Galio, because Snow comes up here, can be a little susceptible. But let us know in the comments. Chat depends on where and when you guys are watching this, who you think came out on top in the draft phase, and who you think is going to take this game number 1. Now, remember, it is a best of 3, so loser will get one more chance at bringing this series back to even footing. Hybrid already doing work level 1 with that range advantage on the Galio.
And we should note here that this is a lane swap between Snow and Winter's Elo. They've elected to keep this Urgot in a very good lane in exchange for punishing the Galio right here. We know that the Galio is going to have a pretty rough time up against the Kennen in the early stages, but that is so that they can have a good enough time in the mid lane with Urgot up against Set. You can see already that we are getting a little bit of bullying coming on out in the respective matchups that we are anticipating. So, you know, they're coming out with a slight advantage, at least from their blue side. And then on the, red side for the top lane, at the very least, Hybrid definitely having a decent enough time here for Aquatics, and definitely making sure that, you know, at the very least, there's some parity across the solo lanes, albeit that they're in different cases. We see Atlas now on the top side.
Atlas walking up, flashes forward to follow Hybrid. Forsec is here, and that's going to deter the play, but he wants back in. They're looking for Snow. He flashes out. A lot of damage traded back. Neither team wants to overcommit, and so it's just going to be flashes burnt all around. Winter Zelo, the only one that held on to his.
Yeah, and you can kind of see here that with him obviously being in that mid lane, not too much, but now another gank attempt.
Yeah, now remember, all 4 flashes down here, so if an engage comes in, it's deadly, but it is going to be scuttle control going over to Atlas and the rest of Dare.
So all said and done, no kills, but distinct flashes blown, distinct summoner spells being traded. And that means that we could very well see a revisit to the top lane for these junglers, recognizing that there are slightly more susceptible lanes now to be going for. Expect that to be the case as we see Atlas not stopping with the ganks.
He flashes forward. Professor X has nowhere to go, and it's first blood for Atlas.
First blood, first kill. And that's the opening, right? That's the first one here for UML. Congratulations to the level 4 Nocturne. Not somebody that I was expecting to see find those ganks, and, you know, we painted a picture early on that if Atlas got to that level 6 and was able to find a good paranoia, that he might have a decent enough early game, but Atlas has decided, and, you know, call it a caster curse, call it some insane Nocturne pathing, but Atlas is going hard in the early game regardless of his level.
Yeah, and that gate coming is actually a result of all the top lane shenanigans that have been going on. Winter Zelo was able to build up a significant wave, just frozen outside of his turret, which forced Professor Hex to overextend, and Atlas is able to sweep that one up. And, you know, the more this game unfolds, the better I'm feeling about this lane swap. It really has done a good job at slowing down the early pressure that can come in from things like a Kennen. You know, this lane, I mean, he's up, what, 7, 8, 9 CS, but the Galio's just going to wave clear.
And Galio, a notoriously low economy champion, not quite the same extent as that Karma, for example, but there's a very real possibility that we see this Galio opt into the Shurellias as his mythic of choice. Again, traditionally support item that has very nice standing when picked up for that Galio, and we see Atlas already once again here on this top side, and this Nocturne not even level 6 going for his third gank.
Hybrid still doesn't have flash. They're going to go under tower for it, just for a little bit of extra damage, relieve some pressure. But Atlas, very active. Not usually something we see from a pre-6 Nocturne, but it's already 3 ganks on the board.
A very strong early game showing for sure here, and it hasn't come at the cost of farm, and that is always your concern as a jungler. If you're ganking too much, are you collecting the farm? The answer in this case for Atlas is decidedly yes, keeping pace and even a camp ahead of the Volibear right now, who is hovering around in the mid lane, but we do have a bot lane skirmish now.
Double whammy in mid and bot. Applause does get hit by the Zenith Blade, has to flash, but teleport coming in. HKV say less. They've been baited in, and here comes Snow to clean up the kill. Does grab credit for that one.
HKV should go down as well. This is a slow bleed out, hopefully. Able to give this one over to Urasan, but they do get it. So, perfect. Obviously, a little bit of a name change, but that is what it is. It's actually a substitute player, so excuse me. Kuro Yami Opa is a different player, not the AD carry supposedly on the starting roster, but, you know, sub coming in, doing very well down in this bot lane already. They were going on even trades with the bot lane prior to that TP, and we talked about that TP and that bot lane action being the play. Now Paranoia mid lane.
First Paranoia of the game, it's on to Set. He does get the Haymaker out, and it soaks up a lot of damage, but 3 members strong. They do find the kill. Atlas with his second of the game.
Atlas spell shields the Paranoia, or rather, spell shields the Showstopper, excuse me, so prevents him from taking A, a large chunk of damage from the Set right there, but B, that reposition which could have cost him dearly off the back of the Facebreaker Haymaker combo, and the roam up from Applause as well, just to make sure that everything is fine and dandy in that mid lane. We have to give credit to Dare this game already. We wanted those guys to be the ones that were challenged pre-level 6. We wanted Aquatik to be the team potentially coming out of the gate strong, you know, to get some kills before these global ultis started raining down from Dare. Unfortunately, that has simply not been the case. Atlas has been everywhere on the map, just abusing the power that this Nocturne has, and with those Lucidity boots, those ganks aren't going to slow down too much. The ability haste coming through means that Paranoia is going to be up on an incredibly short cooldown. Flash as well to boot means that he's going to be all up in your grill, and if you don't have an answer, then he's simply going to run away with the game.
And he's shown already this game that he doesn't even need the Paranoia. Very impressed so far with Atlas coming in as, you know, the jungler that caused Snow 2 to step into a solo lane. Or not really caused, but, you know, you have big shoes to fill. Coming in with a jungler that has made his name for himself here in the UML. But an incredible showing, off to an early start on Nocturne. Not something that I'm really used to seeing a lot of, especially not at this level of play. But it's been refreshing. Now, Forsec, we're going to be looking to see what he could do. Also has level 6. We talked about the dive potential. You can see it level 6s for Tristana and Leona, and they're thinking about it, but Atlas is in the wings.
They're trying so hard to execute this gank, but there's enough vision down on the bot side, giving enough safety to Dare to, at the very least, give time for Atlas, and now they're just going to go in themselves.
Yeah, the trigger is pulled by Dare. Ultimate into the backline from Kaisa, going to be grabbed up, flashing in for the Fear Beyond Death. It is a slaughter in the bottom lane. Double kill for Atlas, puts him at 4.
My, oh my, this early game he's being absolutely catapulted into Dare's favor right here. 3,000 gold, 7 kills to their name. The only thing that they've not really taken advantage of is trying to secure themselves those turret plates, but they're making handiwork of them down on that bot side right now. You know, these lanes definitely sort of being tipped in the favor of Dare in these early stages. Great, your Kennen on the top side has a 20 CS lead over the Galio, but is that really the biggest consequence, or is that really the biggest issue really for Dare? The answer's, you know, probably yes, that the fact that Kennen has that lead, but it's not even a lead. You look across the rest of the map, Dare are snowballing absolutely everywhere else, and the difference in gold between what is effectively 20 CS and a little bit more for the cull gold, so you know, you're getting about 4 minions at the minute worth of extra gold from that cull stacking. Will be a little bit more when it pops, as mid lane is now brawling, but nice little dash away. Winter's Elo able to handily get away from that one. The Zenith Blade to no effect, to no consequence at all.
That was a beautiful buffer from the Disdain out of Winter's Elo, getting out of that CC trap. And I mean, absorbing pressure has just been the name of the game here for Dare. It's not that there have been a lack of punches thrown, it's just that every single one doesn't land. Now with the teleport back into the mid lane, as Applause has just been holding this wave. What a great support.
Doing exactly what is asked of them, keeping that wave held and making sure that your carries are able to, you know, get that farm on in. Quick little item note here, ladies and gentlemen, the Urgot has opted for the new Stride Breaker, so we are on, of course, 11-13, where we no longer have the dash built into it, but if you are able to get on top of them, you do get a nice chunk of slowing capability here, so hitting that Disdain if you aren't using it to close that gap, incredibly easy. Also have that AoE fear as well when you get in the midst of people, so a lot of close range slowing and disruption capabilities in this Urgot's back pocket. And you know, looking across the board here, the only person not to really be involved in so many fights is going to be the Galio on the top side here. Snow has been a part of a couple of kills as by proxy of that TP down into the bot lane, but outside of that, all the action has occurred without the use of the hero's entrance. And this is one of those games where Snow just sort of sits, bites the bullet, goes, you know, I'm not playing League of Legends. My team's winning League of Legends, but I'm just sat here along for the ride.
And that's the consequence you do pay. As Herald drops and just dragged out of her jump. What a beautiful hook coming out from Applause. Certainly deserves it for that one. And Shelly will get her charge off, bringing that turret within kill range. Atlas once again pulls off a gank, and the response? It's Forsec looking top lane while the dragon is started.
Yeah, this dive could come through here on this top side. You can see Hybrid trying to push the wave out as hard as possible, but remember, the wave clear of Galio, fairly substantial. Dive's still going to come through, though.
This is a Galio, a level 10 one at that to level 8 on Forsec, but they have the damage. And Forsec is able to get out alive. Can Winters change that? Lands the Fear Beyond Death. That one just too easy. They're going to teleport in, though. They want to trade this one back.
Odds are that that doesn't really, you know, amount to anything, and quite rightly, you can see the set TPs up, walk straight back toward that mid lane. It is now occupied by, it is indeed the walk of shame, you're quite right. It's now occupied by a bot lane, who are incredibly scary. 1-0-5 on a Kai'Sa is a scoreline that, you know, isn't the most daunting here. 5 assists, you would much rather be 5 kills if you're looking at it from the Dare side. But nevertheless, the Kai'Sa still incredibly far ahead of this Tristana. 0-3 is never a scoreline I want to see on my AD carry. And you know, it's a bit of a dream of ours when we talk about things in the draft and then we see them come to full fruition. We saw it right there. The Tristana rocket jump is incredibly hard to get away from the dredge line with. And we saw it as perfect example down on that bot side. You can use the rocket jump early. You can use it late. If that dredge line comes through and it's in the right line there, you are going to get pulled on back. Best bet is simply to flash away. It's an incredibly hard timing, and we did see that Sayles doesn't quite have that one down pat just yet. We were able to see that one maybe changed a little bit, but nevertheless, kills coming through for Dare. They've got a very strong early game. They did lose the perfect game by nature of that dive on that top side, so Snow, the absolute feeder on the squad right now, maybe blamed for that one, but now they may well look to a couple more kills. Never mind.
They're on the board. They have some gold in their pocket. And I mean, we have seen bigger comebacks. It is only a 4,000, roughly 5,000 gold deficit. 2 dragons down. There's room. There's some wiggle room here in this game left. If you are Aquatics, but not much. You know, you got to start drawing the line here very soon. We're looking at Soul Point here in 3 minutes. Baron is 5 away. And on the current trajectory, they're just taking everything they want. This mid-tier 1 would be pretty detrimental if they lost it. Leona's going to try to defend it, and it's a paranoia in the bot side. Mathematically correct set. Forgot his calculator this time, and it's a double kill, just instantly deleted off of the face of the bot lane.
Yeah, they're just hitting them with their wallets right now. You look at the difference in items, and it's so clear. As Hybrid now looking for a fight top side. Maelstrom pops, but he doesn't have the damage either. Yeah, Snow able to just about get away.
He's gonna flash, but that one hurts. Atlas, he found another victim. HKV tries to go in, and the Kennen is gonna actually take down Galio. So found his vengeance, found something back for the squad, but definitely going to be in favor of Maroon here.
It's an uphill battle for Hybrid on this top side. He was given the winning lane and is actually winning out on it. You know, we've seen this gold lead in the top side at the very least slightly balloon here. We are seeing that the Galio down about 40 CS, the Kennen 2-0 up, has a slight XP lead as well. The question now becomes how much can Hybrid do with that, because if the gold lead is about 6k in general and the Galio's down on gold, that just goes to show that the rest of the map for Dare is so much further ahead than Aquatik would have ever wanted it to be. And we saw it on the fight down on the bot side where Atlas and Winter's Elo were able to take themselves a very easy little 2 versus 2. The difference between the mid jungle duo is 5k. 5k, ladies and gentlemen, at 16 minutes. I said hitting them with their wallets. They didn't just use their wallets, they pulled out the bank gold as well.
Bought some RP for the match. Winter Zelo gonna go in for the 1v1, and ooh,
it's not even close.
That one hurts, you know? That's the winning lane.
Yeah.
But somebody forgot to tell Snow that one.
That was brutal. You know, Fear Beyond Death is a pretty valuable tool if you're able to connect it, and Winter Zelo, you know, nailed everything. The Urgot combo may not be all that difficult, but if you're able to nail it down like that, especially with 2 items in your back pocket, there's absolutely no doubt in anyone's mind now who the team in the lead is. Hybrid was the one win condition for Aquatik. He's getting soloed out in the side lanes by this Urgot. It is not going well for Aquatik, and now their best hope is a miracle team fight. It's that 1% team fight at this stage, because down almost 8,000 gold at this stage, you can see the turrets getting pummeled, getting demolished across the board. We're not used to seeing tier 2s go down so early on, but this bot lane supremacy has definitely gone to show and been allowing that. Now Nocturne going for Kennen 2.
And in steps just a millimeter past that halfway point, and immediately Atlas is on him. Now Snow looking for more, does have to flash away. This is Grim getting a little bit too greedy maybe. Winter's Elo is going down. It's going to be the shutdown going over to Forsac. Applause now, looking to cause some chaos, some disruption. Kuro, he's looking for Set. He does find him. And a good cleanup at the end of it, but still it's gold traded back, a 2 for 2. And you'll take that if you are as far behind right now as Aquatics are.
Every day of the week, that Urgot had a 400 gold bounty on his head. Yes, it went to your Volibear, not your Trist, not your Kennen, those 2 big ticket carries that you're looking to the late game. But gold is gold, and at the minute that is in short demand or short supply, big demand for Aquatik right here. Getting anything back into their back pockets is always going to be useful. You can also just by nature of that team fight tell quite how far ahead the Dare Maroon guys are there. 4 versus 3 at the back end of the fight, and Aquatik couldn't do anything. They couldn't stop the flash from Applause coming through. Applause, down in numbers, decides, hey, you know what, we're still strong. I still have my Kai'Sa at full HP. I'm about to flash in here and take your lunch money, and that's exactly what they do. They're able to take down the set on the back end of that fight, despite Haymaker, despite any form of shielding coming on through this Kai'Sa. Now with 2 completed items, with that Phantom Dancer being locked on up, does have a very nice time with it. But now I want to quickly touch on the build path that we saw Kuro go for. You see that he's opted for this Phantom Dancer second, but he's had this Serrated Dirk in his inventory since about the 1st or 2nd base here, and unfortunately He's going to have to build that into something here. Now, he either sells it or goes for the Infinity Edge, because every AD carry in the world knows that Infinity Edge third is the item that you go for unless you messed up your items earlier on. And that's unfortunately what we see from Kuro. At this stage, it won't matter. Their 7,000 gold to the good. AD carry itemization is the least of their worries, because they've got a Baron that they're trying to take, and it's not being up for 20 seconds.
Herald dropped in the bot lane as well. Pressure on two fronts. Do they take the 4v4 at Baron, gold down, or do they try to commit to this top play? Winter's Elo gets the tower, Paranoia comes through, and it's on to the ADC. Tristana has to jump away. It's the set alone in the back line, and he's fallen. Snow goes golden, buy time for his team. Here comes the Kaisa, but she gets exhausted and goes down, shut down in Tristana's pocket, but Winter's Elo wins a photo finish of a 1v1. Applause now running. Dare Maroon falling. Tristana resetting, a double kill for her. Forsec gets one to cap it off, but they have to deal with Winter Zelo. He's in the base on the Nexus towers. And Aquatik Esports, they win a fight. They pull it back. But what did it cost them, Rude?
They win a 4v4, and it's going to cost them their bot lane inhibitor. The Nexus turret stands. So that defense around the Nexus still very much available. Atlas, though, may well be in the wrong hood.
No. Atlas is hungry. Everybody else has gone home. He's still out looking for his next meal. Realizes he may have bit off a little bit more than he could chew and will walk away to safety. And red buff will be secured by Tristana.
Ooh, it was very close. I was definitely terrified as soon as that Tristana blast cones over the wall into the face of a Nocturne. There was a very real possibility that Celeste does unfortunately meet an untimely demise. It's not the case. You know, Tristana being Tristana does have that rocket jump and is able to very easily get her way back to safety. But we're at this point now. Baron unsuccessfully attempted by Dare. But hey, guess what? They've got themselves a Mountain Soul spawning in 1 minute. And with that in their back pockets here, you just know that they're going to be able to go right back over to that Baron pit. And they're going to have a much easier time doing it. Health bar is going to be much, much higher. The sort of inbuilt generation of tankiness will be there as well, as you can see. A little bit of cheese strategies coming through here, and this is from Dare themselves. They're looking to make this Drake a given. You would hope that they look for a fight, but now there's Paranoia.
This is how you strike fear into your enemy's hearts. One kill down, a second follows the teleport's channel, but the fight's already lopsided. It's a double kill for Winter's Elo. A beautiful setup and a beautiful execution here coming out from Dare Maroon. Now a second crack at this Baron. This time they've got the whole squad.
And this will. If I say this should, it gives an element of doubt that they're not going to get this one. They are getting this Baron. There's no smite to contest. Nobody's even sniffing around the pit to try and stop this one. It is handily in Dare Maroon's back pocket. They're also going to go and look toward this dragon, but look who's already there. Professor Hex TP down. Say Less has already started wailing away on it.
Forsec. He's so far away.
That's no smite, you're quite right. Hybrid, nice
Hybrid Supreme, now he's going to be here. They're going to try to engage Professor Hex. He's on to the cannon. They found the ADC. Kuro's trying to kite backwards. Can they finish him off? No. Hybrid has to go golden for now. They do find Galio. Tristana's free hitting. But for how long? Can anyone get on top of her? Atlas trying to run. Kuro goes back into the fight, but he's a couple hundred HP. Forsec is looking for him. The rest of the team has got his back. Kuro will not fall. Kuro will finish the ace. And they don't even care about the Mountain Soul. They're going to go straight for the Nexus.
Yeah, you know, what's the Mountain Soul when you can get the plus 50 for winning the game here, Audio? A decisive game, pretty much from start to finish here. They had themselves a 7-0 kill lead to begin with. Their turrets remain unfazed, and with that, should well just be the finishing touches to this Nexus.
A strong victory coming out from Dare Maroon in game number 1. And this makes me excited for not only the rest of this series, but the rest of this season to watch these players as they go on, because that was quite the performance. Not only the laning phase, we see a lot of lanes go one way or the other pretty extremely here at the UML. But, you know, specifically looking around some of those objectives, I think you called out the unsuccessful first Baron attempt. In my mind, that went as smoothly as it possibly could, using the Baron and the Herald at the same time to pull apart the members in the map. They pulled off the Baron, and yes, they may have, lost the fight, but they got an inhibitor. They got damage onto the Nexus towers. They set up the ability to end that play at the end of it all instead of just getting the Mountain Soul. So that level of teamwork and, coordination over the entire map got me really hyped for Dare Maroon.
Quite right. And I think that we got to see Atlas really showcase his talents in this game as well. I think that seeing him on something with a little bit more agency in the early game than a simple Nocturne, if we saw the amount of ganks come through pre-level 6 on a champion like the Lee Sin, like even the Volibear that we saw on the other side of the rift there, the agency that this guy may well be able to put out is something that I am absolutely terrified for teams to go against. Absolutely tearing it up on the Nocturne from start to finish right there. A handed MVP for game number 1 and was able to transition his lanes, transition the leads throughout pretty much everywhere. We saw the Galio in the top lane not have the greatest time, but outside of that, Kai'Sa came out very, very strong. Urgot came out ridiculously fed, and that's pretty much all that they needed. The Kennen seemingly not a factor in this game, despite the leads that they were able to attain, and a very good job done by Atlas to give the leads where necessary.
I do have to give a quick shout out to my boy Snow2 up in the top side, though. Although it was rough for him, he held on strong. It's not an easy lane into that Kennen, and what a just ingenious lane swap to essentially shut down one of the strongest linchpins of that early game pressure for Aquatik Esports. Yeah. And Snow2, the veteran on the squad, like we said, the jungler from last season's third place finishers. What better player could you have to put up there? And even without that presence from the Galio in the mid lane, because we didn't really talk much about the consequence of removing that global threat out of the mid lane where you can affect the whole map. But even without those ultimates and even before level 6, Atlas was still able to get work done. So all around, applause for Dare Maroon. I am excited to look forward to game number 2. Hopefully Aquatik Esports can bring it back and give us a series to watch. We're going to toss it over to a quick break, though, as these players get ready for game number 2. Don't touch that browser. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. It's audio, it's Rue, dude, and it's week number 1 here of the Upsurge Minor Leagues. We just saw Maroon dare to just slap Aquatik Esports around Summoner's Rift. My God, what a performance from them. We'll be seeing if they can continue that dominance in Aquatik. They're looking for one of those pep talks there in the locker room to get them fired up, ready here for game number 2. Rude, if you were the coach, what would you be telling your squad right now?
Okay, you need to figure out Atlas a little more. We need some better warding
That's
going down.
true.
I never want to just say, oh, it's so easy to stop an early game jungler from ganking. You just ward the river. But in this case, I feel like a little bit of extra input, a little bit of extra control over that river area would have definitely given them a little bit more agency. And be it that they're not checking the map, be it that they don't have the wards down in the first place, there are some systematic errors coming through that are allowing Atlas to find all of these ganks, to burn these flashes early on. We did see a slight glimpse of prowess, I suppose, where we saw a counter gank come through. The Volibear in the early game definitely tried to take that 2v2 on the top side off the back of the Nocturne gank. But at the end of the day, it was all inconsequential. The Nocturne was able to run Supreme, run Rampant, and do pretty much what they desired. So it's a very well played game from Atlas in the first one, and hopefully Aquatics can stop that from happening again.
And I want to reiterate that Atlas made a lot of those early plays on Nocturne and Champion, who traditionally does rely very heavily on getting his level 6 before his ganks become effective. But I, don't want to paint the picture too dark in terms of Forsec. I do still think he had an admirable performance. He did get a lot of good looks that just very closely didn't go his way. Specifically looking at that top lane where all 4 flashes were burned. If that's played just slightly differently, that could violently change the nature of the game. And it's plays like that that can really skew results for a game. So if Aquatik can start to shore up some of those early mistakes, if they can get their wards down, if they can avoid those early plays, hopefully they can settle into a rhythm into the mid game, because it did feel like they were just always 2 steps behind. They would go to place a ward and surprise, there were already 4 members waiting in that brush for them.
Steps on up, and the Fnatic Death Brush lives on long through every region that we seem to be able to get our hands on here. So very strong performance coming out to give them not only the Drakes as well, the Baron in the end, and with all the turrets that they're able to take even 15 to 20 minutes here, it was no doubt, no disappointment, and no surprise by that metric that the Baron was going to be the ending of the game here. And, you talked about quite nicely in the end of the final game that whilst it was a 2-for-2, there was a bigger objective that went in the way of there. And it was indeed that bot lane inhibitor. So it definitely opened up just a little bit constant pressure funneling into that bot side. Really made it difficult for Aquatik to really ever have an opportunity to make much happen. And it's a little bit unfortunate that they take that trade, but Rift Herald really do be strong.
Yeah, Shelly, she's gotten a number of buffs over the years. I still
Mm.
remember the early Rift Herald. It was just kind of like the mini Baron for the
Uh,
top laner. That one was a little weird. I kind of felt left out as a marksman player. Never really got to use that one too much, but I like the iteration of Shelly and her sister that has a million names that nobody will ever agree on.
I will leave it to the masses to decide what we call Shelley. I still call them all Gerald, so that's just me. Um, Personal preference at its finest. We do, however, have a draft for game number 2, and we're expecting to see some very similar things from Dare. Aquatik maybe look to try and take something a little bit different. Worth remembering that these two teams have swapped sides, so Aquatik coming at you from the blue side this time round, Dare going to be at you from that red side. And well, for the most part, to begin with, it's those one tricks, it's those bans coming out that we saw in game number 1 so far unchanged. If we're following that trend, it's Ezreal here. But, you know, a little bit of deliberation. Maybe they don't want to take the Gwen either, and see if they can pick something else different up.
And that's a choice that you have to make now that you're on blue side. Do you ban away that Gwen, not comfortable with it? Now the Ezreal is left up on the table, though. That was the ban that they started off with last time around. Dare Trolls, they could just go... Actually, they've been freed up a ban now, not having to ban away that Gwen. And it's going to be the Nocturne. They want to make sure that, you know, it isn't snapped up by Aquatik. They recognize the power of the pick.
So, this Ezreal now ready and available to be open here, decidedly. If Aquatik want to take it here, it was one of their bans in the first game. So if they decide that it is indeed strong enough, then their Maroon will indeed be staring down the barrel of it. Instead, they opt toward the Diana. Some very heavy, very dive-oriented jungling coming on out, but with all of the answers in the jungle still up and available, things like the Rumble, things like the Xin Zhao, you have to wonder if Dare have themselves a decent enough answer. And honestly, I think the question, or the answer rather, is probably yes. Traditionally, Diana a very good matchup into Diana a good matchup into Rumble specifically. Xin Zhao, however, not quite the same fate.
Yeah, no, definitely not. However, Forsec now on the Diana is going to have a bit more agency, so I'm excited to see what he'll be able to do with it. Volibear, not really a champion that's known for being able to get a lot done on his own. We did talk about the Ezreal, though, and Dare are able to snatch it up. And if you compare that alongside a Karma, not only do you have a lane that shouldn't ever die, like seriously, ever die, but also has a hell of a lot of poke to boot, so... Really strong combo, allows you to really put your focus on other areas of the map, be it the mid jungle, the top jungle, just jungle. If you're Atlas, you know, you can do whatever the hell you want without really having to worry about them.
And I still want to question here, because Karma across the globe has been seen as a flex pick. You know, you're quite right that it's a very safe bot lane if they take the two in tandem down to that bot side, but Karma is also a great facilitator of junglers, and looking at it, there is still those enchanter and hybrid, or rather, and hyper carry junglers that can come through. I'm looking at Kindred to see if that is a potential answer here, because if you're able to get in range of that Diana and she doesn't have that potential to gap close onto you, there's a very real possibility you can try and close that gap here. You know, they didn't have to take themselves a big hitting jungler in that second round, or in the first round of picks, because Diana was already picked up. Aquatik already showed their hand, so they were able to lock in 2 power picks for themselves. And I would love to see Dare here take something aggressive in the jungle, take something like the Xin Zhao, something like the Kindred, put this Karma in the mid lane and really begin to snowball this matchup, because they've got themselves as well a really decent bot-sided, or rather Aquatik have got themselves a decent bot-sided matchup. So you want to take the fight elsewhere. Whenever you lock in an Ezreal, you just know that you're not playing around that bot lane. That Ezreal is going to sit, it's going to farm, it's going to scale. You're going to pick up a roaming support hopefully and try and impact the map, as opposed to impacting that bot lane. This Kai'Sa Nautilus bot lane most likely going to be fairly strong in the early stages.
Well, Dare are going to pick up everyone's favorite Romeo. It's Viego. We'll be seeing where that goes. Can play in the jungle, top or mid. Really just wants to get a melee matchup from what I understand. A little bit of a flex coming through from Dare, but a very powerful pick that we don't see a lot of teams really be willing to give over. Surprisingly, they made it this far, but we also have to remember here in the UML, a lot of, kind of the one tricks are banned out. We see the Anivia, the Rek'Sai, the Shen, stuff like this. So it opens up a lot more room to play powerful champions that we don't see get played at the top levels.
And Viego as well slipped entirely through the game 1 draft. So this is something new for both teams. Regards to pick or ban, definitely going to be in Dare's wheelhouse this time round. They are going to lock in themselves a Braum here. So that shows us Karma is going somewhere else here. So, step 1 of my topside plan has been implemented, albeit in a sort of backward motion here, but they are trying to make sure that they've got the best jungle matchup for now, the composition, as opposed to the support here. And honestly, I like that adaptation. They know what they're playing up against bot lane. Ezreal Braum is another one of those safe combos on the bot side. Braum, a fairly adept roamer as well, does have CC to bring to the party, does have some safety as well that they provide, but not necessarily the big hitting impact that you expect to see from the likes of a Leona or a Thresh, those high impact Zenith Blades, hooks, whatever they may be. Don't actually see from the Braum all that much, but still can have an impact and will still bring a little bit of punch to any party that he's trying to attend up on that top side. Aquatik, though, have 2 solo laners to pick. The first one won't surprise you, the second one definitely might.
Gonna be Dr. Mundo. The new rework hitting the Rift here in the top lane will be. This is going to be blind into Dare. I mean, they could still flex either the Karma or the Viego up there. I am hoping, I'm leaning maybe more towards the jungle flex if they
this is Viego
get
top.
The right matchup.
Almost
Viego top. I mean, Ornn's being hovered here.
Oh, well, when I said
it's going to be locked in. So, yeah, Viego in the jungle. I mean, when you look at the support tools that he has for him, a Karma and a Braum, if you can put both of those in your back pocket, Viego becomes damn near unstoppable.
Yeah, quite right. That's that's pretty much it here. If somebody's hitting, if you're, at Braum and able to find a couple of auto attacks on the back line, you're going to be very happy. The Viego's going to be even more happy. He's going to be able to just slam around stuns like it's nobody's business. The Karma as well, going to be facilitating him in those team fights. My concern for Dare is that they are very, very Viego dependent right now. The Ezreal will be dishing out damage in the later stages, but they needed a carry to come through in that top side. Ornn is not the answer I would have liked for them, but they have themselves now a little bit of CC, a bit of bulk to go into their team fighting situation to enable Viego to get those resets. I still fear for whether or not they'll be able to get those resets, of course. In order to get resets, Audio, I'm not sure if you're aware, but people need to die. And in order for people to die, they need to do damage. And damage isn't something that they necessarily have coming out of their ears right now. They've got themselves base damages of Ornn, which we can all meme about. Base damages from Karma as well. Fairly strong during the early game, but start to peter out during the later stages. So we're looking particularly down on this bot side to see whether or not Kuro can step up on this AD carry to keep their win condition of this Viego jungle alive. And honestly, after game number 1, I'm looking at a champion or a player in particular that I want to see take control of this game. It's Atlas. They've put all of their eggs in his basket this time round, and let's have to see if he can deliver once more.
I mean, it's a pretty big basket we saw from game number 1. He is definitely geared up and ready to go, but yeah, a lot of pressure on his shoulders. And unfortunately, we've seen him disconnect from the lobby, so maybe it was too much for him. He's just out of here. Hopefully, we'll get him back in very soon. I mean, and this is just a great story because, again, I just want to reiterate that Snow was the former 3rd place jungle of the UML last season. So coming into this new roster with some of his teammates from Wichita Wolves' sister team, Wichita Wolves Red, he is swapped into this mid lane, and now we see him taking a much more supportive role. Game 1, going on the Galio in the top lane, just pure wave clear duty. This time, it looks like he might be piloting the Karma. So really stark difference, and it makes you question, well, what kind of a player would, entice a superstar like Snow to be that supportive? It's Atlas. And game number 1, we saw that glimpse of brilliance. I'm hoping he can carry into game number 2. This is the game. This is the comp to do it.
And you know, with that, let's have a look over toward Aquatics, right? Let's see what they've got in their back pocket on the back burner that they're trying to bring to the table here. And with their composition, I think everybody can see it's team fight. It is going to be that front to back heavy hitting dive style combo that they're looking to achieve. They've got Mundo to dive in, or not necessarily dive, but sort of roll on into the backline. They've got the Nautilus, the Diana, the Kai'Sa to go deep diving down and try and pick out this Ezreal before he's able to dish out that big amount of damage, pick out the Karma as well before all of that support's able to come through. The Orianna, a little bit mismatched, but honestly not by that much. The Shockwave over the top can deal a large portion of damage, offer a lot of disruption to the team fights, and something that Dare definitely won't be too excited by in that instance. But it does give a little bit of an opportunity for Professor Hex to maybe be a little bit caught out in that backline and maybe a little bit isolated here. Doesn't have the greatest backline setup, backline support tools, and will probably be a fairly easy reset for Atlas to try and get his hands on if you're at least trying to, you know, turn into a different champion, buy yourself a little bit of space, a little bit of time here. This Orianna will be a sitting duck down on this backline, so Professor Hex is going to have a very difficult time positioning, and it really will be on them to keep themselves alive, because if not, this Viego can get one reset, can turn into a different champion, get the health back, and then dive back on in as that Viego, find the stun, find the Q, find all of that damage. It's really going to be quite difficult for Aquatics, at the very least for the mid laner. The rest of their squad, though, I definitely have high hopes for. They have a lot of agency during these team fights here, and I was looking at the Mundo pick thinking how great it's going to be. You know, they've got one tool of CC effectively from the Braum, and two Braum CCs, and then the Viego stun is something that you're not really too worried about. You get with new Mundo the free CC immunity, right? Gets effectively a TFT Quicksilver. He's able to immune the first amount of CC and even pick up a second one as well if he gets that canister fast enough. So not too much CC coming across from Dare, and this Mundo definitely can go across very, very scarily, and then they lock in the Ornn and it all comes full circle and Dare have a nice amount of CC to deal with it. But that's just Mundo things right now.
Just Mundo things. We see a wide variety of unique champions today, and that's something I always enjoy to see. Great meta. I give it an S+. So we're going to toss it over to a break as we get ready for game number 2. Don't go anywhere, guys. They are going to be trying to close this one out, but Aquatik are going to be looking to foil their plan to take us to a game number 3. Don't touch that browser. We'll be right back. Hope you didn't miss us, Twitch chat, because I sure missed you. But we're back with game number 2 here between Atlas and Co. and Aquatik. As it seems to be from the comp here, he has got a lot on his shoulders, and it all starts in the level 1. I was curious to see if they'd have something prepared, having a Braum and a Karma, but no, it's just going to be the 5-point, and a lot of spamming from Atlas.
Now, typically when we talk about, 1 to 2 carry compositions, terms like linchpin can be thrown around, sort of a champion that's holding the team together here. I'm going to go maybe one step further, and, when you say, this is like if you were trying to build the Eiffel Tower without steel, without the metal in this composition, because Atlas, unfortunately in this game, is going to have a massive burden on his shoulders. And, like we said, like we talked about, if there was one guy from game number 1 that we would look to from Dare to be able to do that, Atlas is that guy. But, ladies and gentlemen, that does not necessarily mean that they are up to the challenge, and doesn't necessarily mean that the composition allows for it all that much here. And something that we need to keep our eyes on early on then, at the very least, is that jungle pathing. Let's see how these guys keep their jungle sort of in due here. Are we going to see another one of those top side fights coming through around that 3-minute 30 marker? I don't anticipate it. We did see Atlas and Forsec both end up on the top side first time round. Second game, don't expect it. Good hook bot though.
Gonna take a big chunk of health out of Kuro. Wasn't able to get that 5th plasma stack. That would have really sealed the deal. But nevertheless, will force him to chew through his potions. And the Kaisa Nautilus getting this early lane push.
Ooh, level 2 is going to hit.
Another one. I'm going to take a chunk out of Applause this time. Not really much to return.
And they get exhaust. That's really good. Kaisa is a champion that thrives at being down and dirty, and really does not thrive when being exhausted. You're able to burn that cooldown so early on in the laning phase. If you're able to sort of recontrol this lane, pull it back out towards you, there is some very real kill threat right here. The way this wave is looking right now, Kuro and Applause, they're licking their lips. They are in a prime position to at least try to set up a freeze. If they can hold these minions outside their turret, they're going to be in a really good spot as well. Fortunately though, Sayless and HKV are able to push it back into the turret and hopefully deny that freeze from coming through, get that bounce back, that reset. And now, provided they can control the wave well enough here, and I'm looking at them to not just freely auto this wave, which they seemingly are doing, they could have had a bounce back, they could have had a wave in a really good spot, and allowed for a gank in the near future to come on through. Unfortunately, that is not the world that we are living in, and they are, again, just sort of hitting at this one. But they do still have control, at least with that 3rd minion being in favour of Dare down on the bot side. So at least for the time being, bot push should go through toward Ezreal and Braum and give a little bit more agency to Sayless and HKV, because you can see pushing back bot lane and push them over, extending to a point, and maybe, just maybe, catch on out this Ezreal.
We'll see if they can make it happen. Hook's gonna land onto Applause, and HKV does get the stun. Just health bar, traded back once again. Trades still going pretty favorably for Aquatic spot lane.
As we would expect.
Wow, what good hook. First blood going on to Sayless. Heal flash available, but no time to pull them. Kuro just gets deleted.
Yeah, and we're sat here asking where are your summoner spells. Kuro just not anticipating them, and honestly, I really don't blame them, to be honest. That was an absolute insane amount of damage. I don't want to direct everybody's attention to the gold lead right now, and it's very early. It is 4.5 minutes into this game, but there's already a 1.3, 1.2, 1.4, whatever K gold lead right now. And that, at this stage in the game, when there's only been 1 kill, is beyond just a kill here. We look at the top lane CS differential, and you can see that that is astronomical. The Ornn being down almost 20 CS, down half of what the Mundo is pumping out right here. Hybrid is having a whale of a time up on this top side once again. And WinterZelo definitely at least struggling to pick up that farm. Unfortunately, Hybrid has been pushing this wave a little bit too much, and once again we're seeing the control of the wave, something that WinterZelo seemingly has very much under control right here, keeping that wave just outside the turret, and now maybe looking for a bit of a scrap.
WinterZelo out of mana here, so don't really know if he can finish this one off, but both top laners getting extremely low here, down to sub 200 HP. Winters is going to go for the back. They both have teleport to get back into the lane, so we should see a reset essentially here not too long. Forsec is hovering though. He was just looking for the dive. We'll see if he sticks around for the TP. He does.
Oh, okay, no dive really going to come through on.
It's still an Orc.
It is indeed still an Orn, and he has now come back to lane with full HP, full mana, and a newly dinged level 6 ability, which is very, very daunting when trying to dive. Also has a couple of ruby crystals in his back pocket as well, just to dissuade that even further. Really does make it so that there's a very distinct difficulty when trying to dive with 2 magic damage users on that top side. And you know, Mundo, his cleaver dealing magic damage, and that's his main source of damage for the most part, unless you're seeing Bruiser, Emax Mundo in the days of old. That's something that you're not anticipating to really be an issue. Freeze now down on this bot side, and you know, a little bit weird that I'm just talking about lane states all this time, but when we've got a game that doesn't have Atlas popping off 24/7, we do need to focus a little bit more on the macro of the game. And now that they've got themselves that kill and that advantage down on the bot side, they're looking to starve out Kuro and Applause about as best as possible, and setting up a freeze is about the best way they can look to do it.
Dragon is up as well. They have an objective to play around. Right now, Kuro just doing what he can to try to find some chip damage. If you can get these health bars low, you can dissuade the engage, but here it comes in. They found a stun onto Sayless, but good job from HKV to just buy some space. So good at just stunning them up, and Kuro is going to bring out the heal. Does get hit by the hook though, and that's going to be Nico's down. It was looking possible for a minute there, but he didn't have enough dashes. Still had the flash. So we'll draw a question mark around that one, but I like the attempt.
It's just, oh, it's beautiful. Honestly, down on the bot side, honestly, Aquatics have done such a good job with this Kai'Sa Nautilus. They know that their composition, or at least that their lanes decidedly are going to be better. You know, remember, we painted this picture of Atlas being the carry. They have no carries in their other lanes. They are reliant exclusively on Atlas, this jungler who in this game hasn't had the impact. We do see Call the Forge God top. It's not going to amount to any term of kills. I would might look to turn this one back around, though.
Overall trade at this point. This 2 tanks, just wet noodle fights. And yeah, they get down to a quarter HP and they'll regen back up for a while.
Yeah, and you know, back to the sort of Applause.
Applause?
He should be fine. He's fine. He's fine. He knows what he's doing. He's got Guardian. He's trying to force that wave under the turret, and unfortunately, it's really not going to do him any favors unless Sayless finds a cheeky Q button. That wave is going to be once again in a pretty rough spot. But like we say, these lanes, regardless of where you look on the map, are not favorable for Dare. They are going to be in the rough spot for a fair while right here. So using this Kai'Sa Nautilus, a very advantaged duo, and now we'll hold it because
here's the engage from Winters. Flash, 1 auto would do it. Gonna need a little bit more now. Regen coming through from Mundo. It's the flash, the ultimate to get space. W misses, and Atlas, he finds the kill, the fadeaway, but it's traded. Still just the 1-for-1. Kill credit didn't come through for Forsec.
HKV really bullies a ranged creep right there, just in case on his roam.
Forsec flashes and he finds it. Can he finish off the kill and get out? No, he's gonna fall too. So 2 traded for 2. I wonder if you could have gotten Herald off there.
You can't channel Herald while in combat, actually. You would have been hard pressed to find Shelly being placed in that instance. But either way, like you say, a 2-for-2 on that top side. It's both of the junglers and top laners giving away their lives in exchange for kills on one another. So, you know, propelling themselves a little bit further toward all of those mythic items. Still none picked up yet for any of these gamers in Summoner's Rift in game number 2. As we do see nothing too out of the ordinary. We see a Divine Sunderer soon to come for Atlas. Looking like it's going to be the Rocket Belt on Forsec. So, you know, we're not seeing anything, or could very well see a Night Harvester as well as the other alternative. But something like the Riftmaker Conqueror combo, not going to be coming through in this game.
Yeah, and that Divine Sunder, I think, is going to be the big tipping point here for Dare. For a team that was so explosive and so aggressive in game number 1, it has been a little bit strange to see them take a much more backseat. Now Atlas looking for another gank, though, in the top side. They do find the stun onto Mundo, double TP channeled, and I think they'll have the DPS here. One more auto attack will do it. Gonna grab that soul. Now they're on the hunt. Gonna find Atlas, or Forsec. And Atlas goes in.
Remember, Atlas is the carry. And if Atlas is getting kills, they are happy. Say less, a little bit overexposed, but lodges out on the everything exactly. And Applause isn't able to find the gang. So, you know, Kai'Sa quite happy down on that bot side. Look at the CS, by the way. Very far ahead. Definitely having a good time up against this Ezreal. And I want to, you know, touch a little bit on Divine Sunderer here and Ezreal in particular, as we see that is most likely going to be the mythic that Kuro is going to be picking up. I don't want to address this quickly, that, oh, if you guys are looking at this going, oh, but ranged Divine Sunderer got nerfed, Ezreal can't be good anymore. Unfortunately, you're incorrect. Ezreal was so giga crazy broken bonkers last patch that the nerf that came to Divine Sunderer puts him back in line with other AD carries. He was so far ahead of the curve in terms of the damage that he was able to pump on out, that taking 3% off of the Divine Sunderer is indeed a nerf, but it is not a nerf that takes him out of the meta. It is not a nerf that removes him from pro play entirely. He's still going to have that agency upon completion of 2 items. He's still going to be dealing damage. It's just this time, it's not going to be absolutely insane.
I feel like those complaints usually only last about a week or two, and then people still get one shot by Ezreal's, and they're saying, hey, Riot, didn't you nerf this? Why is it still killing me?
Placebo nerfs. I love them. They're beautiful.
Feels great. But now it's the river battle. We do see Forsec push up pretty far here with the Heralds, and it's 4 members collapsing, teleports channeled. Winter's Elo is going to start this one off with an engage onto Sayless. He ults away. Diana ultimate. She's going to find 2, but the damage just isn't there. Forsec falls rapidly. HKV gets a dredge line out of there, and Hybra's left alone to defend against the hordes. Atlas will secure his soul, and it's going to be a 2 for 0 so far. Shockwave just finds 1. Atlas was able to shrug that off with the Mundo passive, and now over to the Dragon.
And down 4k gold at the beginning of that fight. Dare find the fight that they are able to win. They had all of the tools and all of the ability here for the Dare side to lose that. There was no right, no realm where they were supposed to come away with a fight win. Somehow they're able to do it, and it's in most part due to Professor Hex being a little bit delayed to the play. You can see what they're looking to achieve in these team fights here at Aquatics. They've got Moonfall to maybe try and break open a few members. That was a big 3-man Moonfall there for Forsec, and unfortunately, without the damage just yet, you know, doesn't have that same heavy hitting impact. But if the Orianna was there, if there's a Shockwave layered on top of that with all of this mid lane utility that you've got coming through, you can see the pieces of Aquatik's team comp starting to come to fruition. But on the other side of that, you can also see it here for Dare. You know, this supportive style does its job. It's supportive for a reason, and we saw Atlas able to get a couple of resets there, able to find a reset or 2 before he dips back into the Viego form. So both of these compositions starting to come online. You see Karma has the Shurelias now in her inventory. So Snow up to the races. He's got his 1 item that he needs to make impact and have that ability in the later stages. We do get to see a little bit of a glimpse of New Mundo.
1v2 turned into a 2v2. HKV is here. Atlas, no option but to just try to go in. He flashes away, but he was already dead. Supreme will live, and now they're looking towards Winter's Elo. Gonna shove in this wave, try to take down this top lane tier 1. Diana on her way to take down that Herald, it looks like. And good counterplay here from Aquatik Esports.
Now, Snow has TP, and I will let you know right now, Karma is not the split push champion, as Winters is very low.
Oh, the Forge God canceled, sent back to base. Say less, though, caught out in position. Stuck in that minion with the minions doing more damage than the champions at this point. HKV sacrifices himself for the ADC, and there comes the cleanup crew. Forsec the janitor.
There you go.
Grab 2 kills. Kuro, though, says, give me a mop. I'll show you how it's done. He finds 1. Once the arcane shift resets, he might be in for more. Atlas as well has rejoined this fight. By the way, died, respawned, walked all the way back. Diana goes for a last-ditch effort to trade 1 more kill, but Kuro is able to clean that one up.
So overall, 4 kills do go the way of Aquatics in exchange for the 3 traded back, and that's in the long trade. That's from when Atlas died most of all at the beginning of that play, and like we say, being able to come back out, pick himself up, at the very least in the little assist or kill there onto the Diana is of little consolation when you realise that they are down on the play. But this entire time as well, Professor Hex just farming up. This Orianna, you can see 170 CS inside 16.5 minutes, is absolutely off to the races here. 50 CS ahead of their laning counterpart. And when we see Hex enter these team fights, this Orianna is going to be huge. We haven't seen it yet because Hex has been playing a very greedy, very selfish playstyle. But that is absolutely a-okay because the rest of the team are still ahead. They're still in a good enough spot to keep the ship afloat, to enable this Orianna to just keep on farming and really play for herself in the early stages, as we see called the Forge God in mid lane.
Ooh, does go wide. Did you find the knock-up bunch at HKV? They're still going to pull the trigger. Here comes the ultimate from Nautilus in return. Say less, stepping forward. On to 3, and there's the dredge line to bring Winter's Elo back in. Snow is going to go down as well. A double kill for Say Less. And you were talking about it. Professor Hex has shown up big.
Mid lane tier 1 under fire will go down as well. HKV looks for the hook, doesn't find it. Nice little arcane shift there, does bring some safety to Kuro, but they're looking for a little bit more here. I think the tier 2 is a bit out of reach, but with ulti popped, Mundo chasing down Viego.
He's trying to find a kill, but he's getting burned down fast. That's the linchpin gone, and the rest just fall like bowling pins. It's a strike for Aquatik Esports, a triple kill going over to Hybrid. Going to be getting some much needed love after that laning phase, and they're going to get another tower, maybe. Say less does secure it.
They can get kills here as well if they want to, but backing away, recognizing that they don't need to overextend if they don't have to, and they are just going to sort of peter back to safety. Now, Mundo getting 3 kills might not seem like the greatest thing in the world, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm here to tell you that in this game is not the case. Dragon is going to go down, and we imagine it's going to be with little to no contest here. We'll hold it just in case. TP's coming through, and maybe there's a fight on the back end of this.
Hybrid just going to TP in to make sure that he can secure that. Winter's Elo pulls off the call of the Forge God. Lands on 1. They're looking for a kill. Atlas does secure 1 onto Forsec. Jungler down. No Baron on the table for still 1 more minute. Forsec will be back in time.
And Wave's not in a good enough position to capitalize on it or make any turrets fall in the meantime here. So back to this Dr. Mundo getting 3 kills. Now, traditionally when you see a Mundo get some kills, you think, oh, okay, great, you know, my front line's going to be a little bit tankier. But what was the one thing, Audio, this is a bit of a Q&A right here. What was the one thing that we said that Dare were lacking in this comp?
I bet Twitch chat didn't know there was going to be a quiz. It's damage.
It is indeed damage. And what is the one thing that Mundo can take a hell of a lot of?
Might it be damage?
You are 2 for 2, my good sir, getting 3
Nailed
kills
it.
on your big tank who has an insane amount of health regen, an insane amount of resistances, is going to put you in a very good position because, believe it or not, they simply won't be able to kill this Dr. Mundo with that ulti coming on through. The Ezreal, yes, he's got a Divine Sunderer. Yes, the Viego has a Divine Sunderer. That's great. So far, there isn't anything to stop this Mundo from healing, and I mean anything short of a Bramble Vest on the Ornn, no executioners calling for your Ezreal. We don't even have the components of a Chemtech Putrefier on Snow 2. This Mundo is going to be absolutely loving life here, and that's not to mention the fact that we've got Diana with Conqueror, we've got Kai'Sa who's going to have Lifeline in their runes as well. There's going to be so much healing coming through in these team fights, and the Ocean Soul is going to be in this game as well. If we don't see some grievous wounds coming through sometime soon, then, you know, it's going to be incredibly difficult for Dare this time round. And we wrote off Aquatics in game number 1, but game number 2, they have come out absolutely swinging.
They absolutely have. And I mean, this is such a better look than what we saw game 1, and it really makes me think about that early top lane play where all those flashes got blown. And we talked about, well, hey, if those early plays stabilize a bit, these games can look so different. That's exactly what happened this time around. The first 5-6 minutes of the game, 1 kill, maybe 2 kills, both going the way of Aquatik Esports. They definitely slowed the pace and have been looking that much better for it. However, we still have to keep our eyes on Atlas. He's going to continue to scale up as this game goes on and on. And there's a lot of League of Legends left to play.
It definitely is, and with that Sterex Gauge being picked up as a second item, now has a little bit of extra durability in these fights as well. So I'm expecting to see, you know, continual building of this attack damage here. Sometimes you will see Viegos go into a little bit more of a tanky style. Across in Brazil a couple of days ago, we were able to see the best team there, their mid laner Tuts on Flamenco, actually built Randuin's and a Spirit Visage as his second and third item after this Divine Sunderer. Hopefully that is not the case for Atlas, who may well be in trouble as well. Flash instantly burned as they see Sayless just simply peek their head around the corner of a raptor wall, and that's a flash burned.
Good reaction time, but good engage, good invade there from Aquatik Esports, limiting the engage tools that Atlas has, his ways to get into the fight. Again, anything you can do to put that Viego at a disadvantage puts the entire comp at a disadvantage too.
Ezreal has now got 2 items. Kuro will be able to start stepping up in these fights. Unfortunately for him, this is not a game where Frozen Heart has insane value, so expecting third item to probably be that Cyrilda's Grudge instead. Yes, the Frozen Heart has a nice sort of synergy to dissuade the Kai'Sa from jumping on you, but outside of that, it's a lot of magic damage that you're going to be hit by, so you're not really wanting to spend so much money on armor. Yes, the mana is obviously very, very useful to you, but it's probably not going to be worth it for him, and even at that rate, you know, picking up enough gold to buy an item at this stage for Kuro is definitely going to be proving to be fairly difficult here. You can see just the, if we talk of the gold quickly here, about 500 gold in the inventory for Ezreal means that he's nowhere near a new completed item just yet. And he's going to be definitely struggling with this Ocean Dragon spawning in about 10 seconds here. This is not a position that I want to see Dare fight, to be honest. Yes, they don't want to give up Soul Point, but you know, you give up a bad fight here, they're just going to get Soul in 5 minutes for free.
Winter Zelo walks in, takes half his health at the beginning of it all. Now, Sayless was able to finish that third item. Inventory in inventory. Sorry. Infinity Edge in inventory. And ready to go. Yeah, there's no contest coming through. They know that they cannot match the DPS coming out from those carries. And now it's going to be the march straight to Baron. They're going to take this one step farther and say, if you're not going to fight us, we'll fight you.
He did.
Just on. Shockwave going to bring in one more. Kuro does the Arcane Shift and Flash to safety. But with the jungler gone, this Baron has become a formality.
And once again, the jungler, the carry, the everything of this composition removed from Summoner's Rift in the space of about 2 seconds. Depth charge, a very key tool to try and allow you to do that one. But now they're looking to try and stop this, and they're going to fight.
But the Baron is already gone. They found some damage on HKV, but Winters has died. When in solo got clapped. They've demolished the rest of the team. Kuro's the last one standing. And Aquatik Esports looking so good in this game number 2, looking ready and raring to go for game number 3 as they're marching it down mid lane.
11,000 gold, the lead right here. Aquatics have definitely shown signs of life here, and signs of much more than that as well. Atlas now in a 2 versus 4. I doubt that he goes for this play. This is simply not one that he will win. And this is going to be a very, very difficult task for Dare to come back from. You know, there's a very thin chance that this ever gets turned back around, with one inhibitor falling in the mid lane, a tier 2 turret falling in the top lane. There's plenty of opportunity still, with about 2 minutes left on that Baron, for even more structures to be falling inside the Dare base. And I expect that to be the formality here of a couple of seconds, as resets need to come through and items need to be picked on up. You can see Kaiser goes back, picks the F-Sword, the Orianna up in the inventory. Mundo most likely waiting, trying to find himself the finishing off pieces of what I'm assuming is going to be Randuin's here with the items in inventory. But Atlas, you know, on this Viego hasn't had the impact that they were able to on the Nocturne, but they may be able to catch out Hybrid down on the bot side.
Tag him with concussive blows. Atlas goes in, but immediately ults away and dies. That's everything gone for the side of Dare Maroon. They put all their eggs in Atlas's basket, and he'll be looking at a gray screen for the next 30 seconds. It's a long time when you're facing down Baron. They've already taken down 1 inhibitor. They're looking for a second.
You know,
we'll see what wave clear can come through.
They went to the market with the plan of putting all their eggs in one basket. Unfortunately, they came away. They came away with cows. They came away with cows instead of chickens here. Audio. It has not gone well for them, and unfortunately, they are getting beefed in a very bad way right now, because you can see that the base is getting absolutely torn asunder. Bot lane inhibitor going to fall as well. The mid lane one already taken down. It is simply a matter of time, and that's the engage.
Hook is going to take out Snow too, just instantly. No chance to retaliate. Members, they're trying to go in. This is desperation. No. At the end of it all, Aquatik Esports take your victory lap around the Nexus. They're taking us to a game number 3.
It's just nasty. The shockwave comes through. The ulti is just incredible here. 2-0 and 11 for Professor Hex. He's, you know, not had the most glamorous game, but has definitely been playing the Orianna about as well as necessary here. 9-1 and 10 on the Kaiser in the end game as well. Like, my oh my. Kuro was not able to step up. Atlas not able to step on up. And honestly, it's really good to see Aquatics be able to turn this one back around here. After game 1, you may have been under the assumption that this was going to be a quick 2-0, and that was simply not the case. Be it down to some drafting errors that we've highlighted here, or be it down to Aquatics taking advantage of that. We cannot take away from them how well they were able to play out this game. You know, they were able to come away with a almost 14,000 gold lead in the end of that one. They were able to get 2v2 kills on repeat down on the bot side, able to find so many advantages to keep the Ezreal down. There was really quite a significant amount of issues with Dare and how they were looking to play that one out, but overall, a very good game from Aquatics, and they stabilize, keep that series at a nice 1-on-1.
Let's see if they're able to do it again. Starting the season off with a banger. Let's toss it over to a short break as we get ready for game number 3. It all comes down to this, ladies and gentlemen. You know the drill. Don't touch that browser. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. It's game number 3 here. UML week number 1. We're starting it off with a bang. Dare Maroon taking on Aquatik Esports. And just a quick recap. We saw in game number 1, Atlas put on his carry pants on the Nocturne and just decimated the game. That was a sub 25-minute slaughterhouse from Dare Maroon. In game number 2, much slower early game, and Aquatik Esports were able to bring it back with some very good team fighting, just all around stellar performances from them. So I'm so excited because the games have been very different as to what we're going to see in game number 3.
You know, I'm going to go out here and say it. Dare trolled the draft. There. I think that if they try and play a composition that is somewhat proven here, then I think they will have a better time. I think that Aquatik definitely really showcased, some of those points, right? I gave them probably one big carry-on for their game in game number 2, and that was make sure that you don't get absolutely bamboozled in the early game, right? Make sure that Atlas isn't able to just run around the map and tear you asunder. And they were able to do that, right? Atlas didn't really have any agency in the early game. The bot lane 2v2 came through, and they were more than happy here for Aquatik to take Kaiser Nautilus into a Braum, into a Braum Ezreal lane. There's no doubt in anyone's mind who's going to be coming out on ahead of that one. As we can move into now our third and final draft of the day. Bans still remaining fairly similar. Aquatik back on the red side, Dare back on the blue side here. So we will be expecting this Gwen blue side ban here, or a pickup of that. But we've got Gwen and Karma, the 2 bans if we're carbon copying game number 1 here when the teams were on the same side. We'll have to see if, of course, that does remain to be the case.
Yeah, Aquatik did ban out the Ezreal in their game 1 on the red side. And taking a long time with this ban, they're considering their options. They're going to take away the Mundo. So deciding that was enough of a factor to game number 2 that they want to make sure it's off the table. Aquatik making sure that Nocturne doesn't go through. And Gwen is on the table. Do Dare even dare to pick her up?
Honestly, the fact that they both banned it on blue side, I think it's just going to slip through. It's one of those really unprecedented situations where an incredibly OP champion just feeds through, be it through lack of familiarity, whatever it is. It's going to be, at the very least, not first picks. And Ezreal is a very valuable first pick. I will give Dare benefit of the doubt right here, that they are going to be more than capable of piloting the Ezreal in a sufficient and successful manner. But Aquatik answering with the exact same thing that they did in game number 2. Kaiser, the first lock-in. There's no reason not to try and take your Nautilus here unless you're looking at still trying to secure yourself some very powerful picks. Things like the Diana that we saw them have great success with. Things like the Karma that are still up and available. And not to mention here, the elephant in the room here, the Gwen still up on the table for either of the teams to be collecting, should they so desire. I don't imagine that we're going to get it just yet. But Dare, obviously, now have to answer this Diana with something different than the Viego.
It'll be the Hecarim coming through, the Leona as well. So a lot of dive buddy pairing alongside that. And I do like the an adaptation here from the side of Dare. It's the Ezreal, but it's not going to be the Ezreal just super safe lane that we saw from last time. The Leona is going to add a bit more aggression, and we got rid of the Viego. I think is the big plus here. Hecarim is going to have so much more agency, so much more self-starting ability early on.
Yes, Hecarim can find ganks in the early game much easier than the Viego can. That devastating charge definitely going a long way toward finding early game presence. But I'm going to challenge you on your aggressive bot lane point here, Audio. Whilst Leona, innately, is indeed a stronger champion in a brawl, Leona is not going to stay in this bot lane. They're still going to lose this bot lane 2v2.
Off of the support alone, we are keeping Ezreal out of the equation.
I definitely expect to see the roam on up. Applause is going to be the jungler support this time round. I want to see these two partner up.
That's the hope.
go into the jungle and let's see some magic happen right here, especially with Thresh locked in as the answer down in the bot lane. Thresh is a very common answer to Leona. You're able to flay away the Zenith Blade, you keep your AD carry nice and safe, and you also prevent any form of engage coming on through, which really does mean that this bot side of the map is once again going to be fairly Aquatik favoured, and then goes to the point of, well, can Dare make things happen on that top side of the map? And that's going to be the question for them to answer.
Yeah, and I think game number 2 with the Braum alongside the Ezreal, the plan probably was pretty similar. Get the Braum out of the lane, tag him with the Karma and the Viego, and really make them the trio. But we saw Saylas and Hypnotic Viper just able to completely trap them in lane. Ursan, or their Maroon bot lane could not move out of that lane whatsoever, and it really just felt like they never got a chance to do what their composition wanted to do. So I want to see if Aquatik can replicate that a little bit here. If they can trap Leona into this lane, it can take away a lot of the oomph of that Akira.
Victor is not the champion, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, blind picking Victor is an option. It's what they've gone for. But I really fear for any counter picks coming through. Victor is a champion that scales incredibly well into the late game, but his early game presence, non-existent. It's simply not there. And looking at how well you're expecting Dare to press and try and prioritize the early game here, especially with an Ornn lock-in, they're really funneling once again their power points, because they're not going to be looking to play through bot lane. They pick an Ezreal. They're probably not going to be looking to play through top lane if they lock in an Ornn. And up against a Victor, it's a sitting duck for Hecarim, for Leona, and an Akali. Yes, beautiful. This champion is giga broken right now. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Akali is absolutely insane. Conqueror and Riftmaker give her some insane Omnivamp. She has insane damage, insane scaling, everything that you could want out of a mid laner. And up against a Victor here, that Gravity Well is only so good at stopping an Akali, because she's got 3 different dashes. She goes for Proto Belt as well. That's extra Magic Pen. That's an extra dash. That is going to be able to get you out of the Gravity Well and really keep you on the Victor in the most extreme way possible here. So I love the pick from Dare. They are going to be able to punish this mid lane if they choose to focus it, and that's what I have to see. That's what they have to see, and it's what is going to have to be the play for them, because this Victor can have a miserable time, can be in an absolute dumps in this mid lane if Dare choose to focus it. Of course, if I know that, Aquatik knows that. Hopefully, they're going to have some answers of their own here. Hopefully, Thresh can try and find some roams to match up against the Leona, or they can try and find the dive themselves, because, you know, they've got themselves Thresh Kai'Sa. That's a fairly decent diving duo, and Ezreal on his own, not really the biggest threat. So, plenty of answers here for Aquatik. They do have this capability of making plays happen elsewhere. We are not saying by any means that their pick and their fight is going to be any weaker, but we're just anticipating that for Dare and their sort of mid lane prowess in this game, it's a very real possibility for success.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see Snow returning to the spotlight here for this composition. He has been on a very supportive role for the last 2 games with the Karma and the Galio. Now he's getting his hand at the Akali. This is, you know, I'll say it again, the veteran player for the squad who's on the 3rd place team, the Wichita Wolves Black squad. And, you know, it does feel like he, you know, should be the one to step up. You know, if we got eyes on somebody, usually Snow's name will catch your attention first. So now in this ever pivotal game, you got the blind pick Victor. You don't get a better situation than that. I'm hoping that he can step up to the plate and give us a good game number 3. I want to get your thoughts on the drafts just as a whole very quickly. Who do you think came out on top?
I give it Dare once again. Honestly, I think this Victor was very aggressive, or not aggressive, but just a little bit misguided. You've picked it incredibly blind and you've been punished for it. I think that if both teams are able to execute on what they should be doing here, this Akali will be able to tear up the scene. I think that any team has Akali innately gives themselves about an 80-20 chance at winning draft, and they've got some good pieces to go around it as well. Self-sufficient bot lane, tank in the front line. That's about all Akali needs to be able to run across your team, or run across the enemies rather.
Yeah. And you've got the Ornn there too. So when we're talking the late game, if it does extend that far, yes, you've got a Kai'Sa, yes, you've got a Victor, but that Ornn is going to be making up that difference just slightly, making sure that this Ezreal, this Hecarim is going to still be feeling relevant as the game goes on. So, I don't even really hate Dare's chances the later the game goes. So I'll ask you, where is Aquatik's chance to strike? Where are they going to be looking to find their win conditions in this game 3?
They have they have side lane dominance, at least in the early stages. Set into Ornn, very powerful matchup. Expecting Hybrid Supreme to be able to take it to Winter's Elo. It's a matchup that, it's at least in terms of the player matchups here, we've seen Hybrid be able to dominate the top lane regardless of matchup and be able to at least find advantages in that top side. Bot lane as well, whenever you lock in Ezreal, you're kind of sacrificing your laning phase. You're definitely giving up a little bit of that early laning dominance. And Kai'Sa, Thresh, 2 champions that are going to be very adept at trying to punish you for that. So if you're looking at it from the Aquatik side, they've got plenty of tools to make things happen if they're able to find some winning lanes, get those advantages, and really start to push out and give a good lead in that department. But they still have to find answers to the Akali, and unfortunately, I say unfortunately, fortunately, they've got a fairly decent one in the Showstopper. If they're able to use Settle on the Akali before that Shroud goes down, they're going to be in a good spot, and I think that is going to be the real ticket here. Is if they get the Showstopper before Akali hits the Shroud, they will win out the team fight, or they have a good chance to win out the team fight regardless. If the Akali is able to do Akali things in the backline, that's when they're going to struggle, and that's when it's going to be a dare favored fight.
All right, well, it's all over but the game to play, so we're going to toss it into short break as we get ready for the final match of the night. Game 3 here between Dare Maroon and Aquatik Esports. Don't touch that browser, guys. We'll be right back. grand finale of tonight's festivities. Game number 3 here between Dare, Maroon, and Aquatik Esports. It's been a hell of a series, and it all comes down to this. It's audio and Rudude bringing you the action, and hopefully there's going to be a lot of it in this one.
Yeah, you know, we're anticipating it here. We've got very decided advantages in the early phases for both teams. We're expecting the set into the Silas on the top side and Hybrid in particular to continue to be a big carry force for Aquatics on that top side of the map. As an answer to that, we've got Snow in the mid lane, being given agency in this game and being a champion and on the Akali that can take over the game here, especially up against a Victor. Very immobile, very susceptible to dying to this Hecarim, to dying to this Leona, and really giving a lead over to Snow on the Akali. A snowballed assassin really is a threat this time round, so advantages across both sides. We'll have to see who capitalizes the best.
Yeah, execution so important, especially at levels like this. We see a lot of times teams draft very clear composition identities and just not quite be able to follow through on them. These teams, though, seem to have a good idea of what's going on. Hybrid utilizing his level 1 dominance, just sitting in that brush to get a nice early trade off of Winter Zero.
And we're expecting that to continue pretty much throughout the early game of this laning phase here and into the late game as well. Don't anticipate that there's really any time where a set has the advantage or doesn't have the advantage over an Ornn rather. As level 2 comes through, able to get a couple quick punches off, but outside of that, that is about it. Level 2 on the bot side as well. So you can see the side lanes that we talked about will be going in their favor, and even for the first couple of levels here in the mid lane, ranged versus melee, Victor into the Akali will be okay, but not great. And we are seeing as well that maybe on the mini-map there we did catch Forsec able to come away with the red buff of Atlas. So taking away that Hecarim's red buff in the early stages, definitely going to limit that capability.
Just snuck that one right out from under his nose. Atlas popping the sweeper there, just thinking he might still be around. But Forsec, once he goes up to his top side and collects it, will have a nice CS advantage, as well as XP with the triple buff. Flash forward, though, in the bottom lane, they found Say Less, and Atlas is on the way. Really good play from HKV. Keeps the engage away.
Oh, and there we go. We are starting to see why this Thresh is such a prized pickup down on the spot side in this game in particular. A lot of run at you for an engage, and Atlas probably going to do the same thing again.
Arcane shift forward, and Hecarim goes into the back line, but Atlas has to get away. Slithers away from that fight. Forsec now, the one in danger. Gets sunned up, gets taken down. First blood over to Snow, and he lands his shuriken. He finds Professor X for the double kill.
Disaster strikes. Aquatics, it's not the champion they want to be giving 2 kills over to. Dare, loving life. Mid lane roam comes through, and the Akali, who'd been keeping even in CS, able to find 2 kills for herself. A Doran's shield to her name, but that doesn't matter. When there's one target with 100 HP and you pick up double buffs off of them, the Victor gets absolutely mowed on down, and now the game wide open for Dare to start to snowball with.
Oh yeah, the world is their oyster. There is gank assist in every single lane. And the mid game, things are only going to get better from here on out. Now it is still on to Dare to keep this tempo up. They have to now use Snow around the map as much as they possibly can. Wherever he is where they are winning.
So moving the Akali around the map is something that they won't be able to do too much until level 6. And when obviously that level 6 comes through, we're expecting the Akali to be able to move around, have a lot of agency. But that offers a very small window where the Akali is still vulnerable. They can still try and find some sort of a lead here. This big wave crashing in though, 6 is probably just around the corner for Snow, and it's probably going to be all that we right. And on this top side, this is a point of power they're looking to improve.
They don't really have any hard CC to lock Winters down. Forsec, though, thinks he might have the damage. Still level 4. Not quite enough.
Oh.
Winters will be able to back. No teleport, though.
Yeah, so getting the set a little bit more lane priority, definitely worthwhile here. It's a good gank all the same. You know, you force the Ornn back to base. He's going to miss some minions under the turret. Already a CS lead, already going to be a, you know, nice XP lead as well. So getting leads in the areas where you're expected to, playing to your strengths here, good signs from Aquatics. And again, we're looking at the Akali, who's going to be the one to, at the very least, answer her mechanically. It's going to be set. You offer off that showstopper, you stop the Akali from getting into your backline, or move her back out of it, more notably, you're going to be in a good spot. So I really like the funneling of the gold into the right place here from Aquatics, as Hybrid even looking for a bit of a plate as well here.
He is able to get it. Big wave crashed in. Winters is able to pick up most of it. Is down about 15 CS, but that's a comfortable spot for an Ornn, where you're really looking at is with those plates coming through. About a 500 gold lead for Hybrid thus far. 6 minutes in, nothing to scoff at.
And we've been talking a little bit this series about low economy laners. Ornn, the king of weak side, essentially here. You know, you can give him 7 ganks. You can gank him 7 times. You can gank him 0 times. Ornn gonna ult, and as soon as Ornn ults, you know, he's had his impact. It'd be great if he's got a bit more tankiness to stay in the front line and offer up some damage to be eaten, but, you know, you're really looking to use him for that Call the Forge God, for that big engage tool. And Winter's Elo, regardless of the amount of times you put him down, is going to have that capability. He's reached level 6, he's got his use.
Yeah, and we'll see what they're able to do with it. Objectives on the table right now. We're looking at the Mountain Drake. River control does belong to Aquatik Esports. Hybrid, though, we're looking for a mid gank. They found Professor Hex. They feared him back into the lane, and Snow, the perfect execution. Takes a little bit of damage, but just going to shrug that off. They'll send 4 members strong to that dragon.
Perfect again from there. You know, they're listening. They can hear me. They're going, hey, is this guy saying we should play around the Akali? Hey, you know what? Let's gank it. Let's give it more and more kills. Forsec returning back to this top side. Still not level 6. You're going to need that to kill this on at this point, unless Hybrid is able to find a bit of an insect play with his ulti. But either way, you know, looking at it from the perspective of there right here, 3 kills for you, all of them on the Akali, exactly where you want them to be, exactly where we highlighted that they should be. And something that made me laugh, just briefly, down on the bot side, HKV stood in front of a cannon minion that Kuro wanted to last hit with Mystic Shot, and that made me laugh that he tanked the damage instead of giving it over. You know, a small thing, but it is amounting to the slight CS lead we see on the bot side.
You know, more common than you think. It's surprising how far some supports are willing to go to actually deny you that cannon. Just from personal experience, obviously at my much lower level of solo queue.
You mean like D3, right?
Oh yeah, of course,
Yeah,
of course,
yeah.
of course. Totally up there, you know, down there in lowly D3. True Shot Barrage does find a little bit of chip damage onto Sayles. He's now ticked over to level 6. We'll see if they can find anything. Flash forward, ignite onto HKV. Ultimate defensively from Sayles. They've got Forsec on the way, but Kuro lands the Mystic Shot. Now it's teleport down from Snow. Look at the top lane later. Directed cam, please. No fight actually happens. Snow is gonna go ganking in the jungle. The wet noodle fight will turn into a little something as junglers are involved. Atlas throws out the ultimate, but Hybrid Supreme has a nice fancy feat and does get himself out safe.
Yep, so, you know, quick little skirmish, I guess, on the top side. Nothing untoward there. A bit of a waste of the Onslaught of Shadows, really, from Atlas. And, you know, I talked about Ezreal being a fairly weak side laner this time round. One too many Mystic Shots gets chunked out, and HKV, unfortunately, going to be the price that is paid right there. You know, Sheen on an Ezreal, that bad boy hurts. You know, you're tanking those Mystic Shots. It's not the pre-Sheen Ezreal days, or let's say days, rather, laning phase point, as we'd see those just dashed in.
is in a very big minion wave, but it is stacking up that true grit. Atlas is here, so is JSKB. The lantern gets him to safety. Teleport channeled. Professor Hacks, he flashes forward aggressively. And they do find Atlas. The gravity well is just gonna buy some damage. Hybrid now is in trouble. Snow has arrived. Haymaker keeps him alive for now. Keyword there. Snow looking for more damage. Exhausted, but still pumping it out. Forsec finds a kill in the back of the fight. Snow on a rampage. He finds one. Can he find another? There it is. Can he find three? He finds a shuriken. There's a third. No. Quadra kill. HKV. Applause. Come on, man.
You know, better safe than sorry. The Akali comes away with 3 kills and doesn't die to the Thresh right there. You could underestimate the power of a good whip if you are on the Dare side right there. So applause, not giving them that luxury. And now, 6-kill Akali. It's so daunting when you're staring down this barrel. And I will be fair and I will be honest here that Snow had a little bit of a rough fight right there. He wasn't able to find that perfect execution at all. It was the back end of the fight where cooldowns weren't really used that he started to come into his own. You know, finding the fighter initially to try and take down Hybrid really didn't go his way. A couple of really big mis-execution errors from the Akali, but he's at the point now where he's so fed. Doesn't matter if you're, you know, nailing your combos or not. He's got Riftmaker, got Merc Treads to stop any CC now as well, and now fighting bot.
Say less. Chunk down to a quarter HP. Beautiful lantern from HKV. Once again, this guy's been on point. Not just this game, but this whole series. And yeah, they'll get it out to safety. True Shot Barrage ducks into it, but we'll stay alive.
Okay, so we are starting to see this Ezreal also start to run away with the bot side matchup. And if you'll remember, I gave both the side lanes as an advantage to Aquatics. The top lane, still in that case, but you're looking at items. Winter's Elo actually has the Sunfire versus just components of the Stride Breaker. And down on the bot side, that CS lead has closed. There is no longer a gap between those two AD carries. And we've already seen Kuro find the kill with his support and also with a little bit of help as well from his jungler. So that gap again also stabilized, closed on up. And you look at the mid lane, massive lead for Snow. That's exactly where they wanted it to be.
Yeah, all of his gold has been funneled directly onto Snow. And I asked him to step up. He certainly answered. I am much more comfortable with this, you know, look from Dare Maroon where the eggs are in Snow's basket. Obviously still looks great on these supportive champions, which is what makes this team so scary. But my god, it's carry games. Now looking at the dragon, HKV finds a good hook, but the objective is already gone. Kuro is gonna fall in the pit. Atlas follows, Applause soon to join them. And it's 3 quick kills coming through, traded out for that dragon.
Okay, so a decent response here from Aquatik coming away. They pick themselves up 3 kills. Yes, they lose the dragon, but it's an early game dragon here. It's not going to be one of those that stacks on up. Snow still has, you know, a little bit of health to be dealing with here, and Riftmaker as well going to give him a little bit more durability to keep him and the turret both alive. But it was the numbers advantage in that fight right there. Winter's didn't have a TP, and that stems back to prior ganks and prior advantages that had been amassed up on that top side. The one shining point of Aquatics starting to generate its advantages around the rest of the map, exactly as we saw right there. Coming away with a 4 versus 5 that, you know, that we did see Dare try and take, unfortunately, take badly. You know, losing 3 players is not what they wanted to see, and that gold lead all but closed up.
24,000 to 23,000. The 2 dragons tilting it a little bit more in Dare Maroon's favor, that unseen gold. They are going to be able to start to force some fights here in the next couple of minutes on their terms. They might be looking at a very early soul. They keep up this tempo in the dragons.
And talking about unseen gold then, these intangibles that we don't really have, you know, a great way of quantifying. For the levels at the very least. I'll have to hold it because applause is going in.
Yeah, this is some gold that you can see if you is able to take them down. Wet noodle fights, come on. Okay, applause. Here we go. Say less into the back line. He throws out his ultimate. Applause is just gonna try to find some damage. It's 1-for-1 traded on opposite sides of the map. But they do.
Yeah, you know, positive trade here up for Dare. They're able to get themselves a kill on their top laner in exchange for a kill on the support. We do see Snow able to dance his way out of the Chaos Storm, so nothing again too untoward for the Dare squad and for Snow in particular in that mid lane. Say less going to be looking to try and force this wave under the turret here. Kuro going to be happy to sit and accept it. We'll be closing up that CS gap with this big wave being flushed on in, but there's a Thresh here and there is no Leona nearby.
Throws out the true shot barrage to try to clear out some of the wave. The teleport is going to dissuade it. It was actually a double TP. Say less is taking a couple of these mystic shots, but he will get out of range. HKV, he's on the run. He's been slippery all game long, and he's got the Moby boots. Okay, the wave's there. He's got a friend. But is he just going to bring him into danger? Great gravity field and flash away. HKV will go down. Just much later.
And quite rightfully paying for his sins right there. You know, going down in the end of all of that, about the expected outcome that they would have been looking for if they are there to, you know, pick up a quick little kill on a Thresh who's roaming through your own jungle without a permit. That is definitely not legal behavior, unfortunately, as now Forsec may have gone a bit too far himself.
Stopwatch gonna buy a little bit of time, but it's right into the gravity field. Forsec stays alive thanks to the Shroud. Now Atlas, he throws the ultimate into the back line. He brings Forsec back in, but he trades his life. Ornhorn grabs a couple. Kumo, big haymaker from the set to take out a few. Hybrid buying so much space in the front line for Professor Hex to just go crazy. Say less is going to go on a killing spree after picking up Leona. And it was Dare Maroon that picked the fight, but it was Aquatik Esports that ended it, and now they're going to look towards the Herald as their prize.
Yeah, and quite rightly here, you know, this is all being Snow this game. If Snow goes down, or if Snow isn't able to find agency in those fights, this comp doesn't feel the same for Dare. It was a really good little play coming through from Aquatik to try and force that engage. They do exactly that, pick themselves up a few kills. You know, looking at the sort of overarching theme of this game, it has been the Akali pumping out damage, picking up kills, and being the hyper carry. And we started to see glimmers of Kuro be that carry as well. But unfortunately, he overstepped. He got pulled in, he got taken down, and then you're relying on Akali who has no ulti because of a really good bait from Forsec and the Zhonya's or the stopwatch bait right there. And then your Akali doesn't have the agency in the fight to make anything happen. We saw Sayless and Professor Hex both walk away limping with very minimal HP. And outside of that, you know, not really too much to talk about. The fighting doesn't go in their favor, and that's about it for Dare. Now Aquatik's looking to try and challenge for this dragon. Is alive and now fight.
Solar Flare on top of the Ornhorn. The Wombo combo into the backline. Forsec's gone. The flawless execution is just going to tear apart the backline. Hybrid's buying what time he can. But his Haymaker's gone. It's a double kill for Kuro. 2 members left alive. They're looking for HKV. No, they're going to back out to the Dragon. Soul point now for Dare Maroon. And the game's looking good.
Yeah, you know, they finally come together. They finally press all of their buttons at the same time, and the fight goes right in their favor. It was sort of anticipated here. There was only a matter of time before we were expected to see Snow really start to pop off in these team fights. You know, you can have 1 or 2 bad ones, but you're still, at the end of the day, an Akali with 6, 7 now kills that we expect to start running away with these fights. It's exactly what happens, and they get a dragon as prize here. The soul spawning in about 5 minutes time right here, and if Akali gets an Infernal Soul, it's a champion that doesn't need help with the damage, and if she gets it, it is very, very scary.
And even the Ezreal as well, poke champion, is just so disgusting with that Infernal Soul able to proc it from so far away. The True Shot Barrage, a nasty cooldown, even at level 11. is going to be very effective at, checking those objectives, just clearing out waves and the whatnot. 34,000 gold to 32,000. It doesn't look like much. It feels like a lot.
And it's once again coming back down to those intangibles that you talked about, right? The nature of having the Infernal, a card, and the Mountain all at your back pocket here. Honestly, the best set of single dragons to be securing. Oceans are great if you stack them, but having the immediate impact of a Cloud Drake for the little bit of ability haste that it gives you, obviously. Ability haste on champions that don't have a lot of ability haste is very good on champions that are building it anyway, not the greatest stats. So you're looking at the tanks for them to be the ones benefiting the most from it because they don't traditionally get their ability haste so early on in their build, and the ulti cooldown obviously very useful for the likes of Anor, the likes of everybody pretty much on Dare right now, because they all want to be using their ults to find those fights. So with about 3-4 minutes left before we do find that dragon and we do find that spawn, that is the timer for Aquatik to try and find a bit of a lead, a bit of something back, to try and generate themselves a bit more of a standing in these fights. If they aren't able to get it, come that Infernal Soul, they're just going to get wiped once again and be down in even bigger advantage with that soul in the back pockets of their enemies.
Also worth mentioning, while we're on the topic of intangibles, as applause, he's going to find a cheeky little interrupt. Forsec caught window shopping, and he'll pay the ultimate price.
We will not talk about the level leads audio. They do not matter. Turret most likely going to fall as consequence here. Baron is up on the table 22 seconds before their jungler respawns. There is a very real possibility that they'll look over toward this big purple worm as a potential objective here. Instead, it's going to be the sit and wait, the sit and bait in this case as the Call of Forge God gets called.
HKV sniffing that one out to dodge away. Sayles took a little bit of damage, but they have Hybrid rooted away. He tries to use the Showstopper to buy some space back towards his team. The Lantern does get him to safety. Professor Hex flashes away. Snow goes in. Zanya's, and he's able to flash back away. Nobody dies, which is insane. But a lot of ultimates are used, a lot of tools. The Baron really not on the table anymore for either team. Both squads need a reset.
Yeah, and a little bit of whiffed target selection, honestly, there from Winter's Elo. You know, you've got a champion who's staring at you, just running at your face. That's who you should be going for with the Call of Forge God, not the Kai'Sa, who's 2 screens away with Flash, with ulti, who's going to be able to use those tools to get back out. And 3-0-5 right now, Sayles has had a very good game. Despite the issues of the Akali in the mid lane, has been able to keep their life at the very least in their back pocket. So Kai'Sa, one of the very few marksmen that has a couple of repositioning tools to deal with Akali.
Yeah, and picking up that elixir too. Love to see that from Sayles. That confused me for a second. I don't normally see that sitting in the inventory. It's an item that if you buy it, a lot of players will just immediately pop it right away, or buy it when your inventory's full. But holding that one for this next objective, it's going to be a big one. It's the Infernal Soul. I do like that, just foresight to grab that elixir, especially from behind. But it's vision control for the side of Dare Maroon, and that's a tough squad to fight into. All of that poke, all that zone control. Set, you're a little far away from your team. Hybrid's gonna die here. And they've also found Forsec on the side. He goes golden. Winter's Elo is just warding the rest of the team away, with the junglers down. It's a 5 now v2. As Kuro does step a bit too far forward, but Snow has found the ADC. And, oh, Sayles! Say less! He is able to find a 1v1 against Snow. Absolutely beautiful. Always feels great to 1v1 as a assassin as an ADC.
Hey, Akali is an assassin. Kai'Sa, though, is also an assassin. Don't get it wrong. Kai'Sa is the one AD carry that I talked about being able to deal with an Akali, and Sayless does it flawlessly. Now the Flash able to reposition, throw off Snow a little bit, and able to find the fight. Overall, does it matter? You know, I'm going to go ahead and say slightly. 1,000 gold in a Kai'Sa's back pocket is never something that I would like to see, but the Infernal Soul goes over. They get themselves the big objective. They get themselves the gold. They still get themselves the fight overall. And, you know, while Sayless gets himself a nice paycheck, I'm not sure that it's going to be able to cash in all the bills that he's been racking up this game.
Yeah. And level 13 now for the Ornn. We're going to be starting to look at these upgraded items coming through soon as well. There's more intangibles and more hidden gold in their back pocket. So although these cash-ins feel really nice, they also feel very undermined because the amount of gold that is being generated for free is absolutely crazy.
And now with no dragon on the table, all eyes go toward the pit. The Baron pit, that is, and you know, you can already see that the vision, whilst sparse, decidedly on the top side here for Dare. They're looking to maybe try and put down a little bit more that's a bit more realistic, but as the hook comes through, HKV doesn't look to find the full engage. Maybe 4sec just calling him back a little bit here, because 5 members being nearby, really definitely very scary. And that is the one upgrade already that has come through. Riftmaker upgrade. Ichthus Curse is the name. That's a new one.
Absolute power outs. 100 AP, 450 health, 20 ability haste, and 10% Omni Vamp. This Akali is going to be very hard to take down. She's able to get into these fights, use that Zanya's by a lot of time. And mid lane, just kind of being permanently pushed up. We're going to see Maroon fall back to the objective now. Blue trinkets will come out. 1 left for Professor Hex that can check this objective.
What is your favorite Ornn item upgrade name? Do you happen to know any offhand? Because I know
that's difficult. I know very few.
Well,
Molten Edge is probably the one that I see most frequently as a ADC main, and it does have a really nice ring to it.
Yeah, and you are, however, stuck in Season 10 with it, but it's okay. There's a Baron being taken. I'll stop quizzing you, because this could be do or die here for Dare, and both for Aquatik as well.
Horn comes through, but a great gravity well is going to stun him up. Now, Rope chasing to the back line. 4sec goes golden. Professor Hex is going to find the Ornn. Hook will go wide. Applause tries to find some CC before he goes down. Kuro arcane shifts aggressively. Sayless goes into the back line with his ultimate. Triple kill for the Hecarim. And they just keep on coming. Dare Maroon running over the fight. Unless Professor Hex, no, he's shut down. Ace coming through for Dare Maroon. Kuro finishing it off, and now turning to the Baron with low health bars, but an Infernal Soul maybe.
They're going to wait for TP. So Snow has TP here. They're going to be able to, at the very least, stall out for that Akali to come on in, and then the Akali to try and tank it up. You know, I hope that they try and stick to this here. The Hecarim needs to stay around.
Atlas has no smite.
But now they have Ornn to try and TP in, and they're gonna call it off. Oh, it's not the cleanest Baron that we've ever seen. They've been here about 3 times now, and they found a couple fights, but they haven't found the Baron. And the big objective is still going amiss right now. There's also a little bit of a chance for Aquatik to try and make something of this with the resets that have to come through. But you know, they are far too far behind for them to be even thinking about that this time round. And you know, if they're too much longer here, audio, there's going to be a second objective that they need to think about. That Elder Dragon spawning in about 1 minute and 15 seconds right about now. Really quite a prevalent, dominant force as well, especially with an Elder Drake. That is just damage upon damage in terms of buffs.
Absolutely is, and
Yeesh.
you might just see a straight out force here. But this is definitely an objective that you are forced to fight for. So I want to ask you, where do you feel Aquatik are at in terms of being able to fight right now?
It's hard. They have to play to their team's win conditions, but They've got a Kai'Sa with 3 items. They've got a double item Victor, double item Diana. They've got cores across their top side, and they've got 3 items on their AD carry. That is the AD carry core for themselves. If they're able to keep this Akali down, they're able to win this fight. It comes down to how much agency does Snow have. It's quite that simple. It has been the entire game. Keep your eyes on Hybrid to try and distract the Akali.
All right, Atlas taking a little bit of poke, but it's not. He's gonna shrug that one off. They are sweeping out all of this vision now again. Snow is gonna get hooked on the flank. Ornhorn coming through. It's gonna go out. Hybrid looking to distract, but they're just gonna turn on him, blow him up. Applause into the back line now. Say less, and Professor X already half HP, and Snow goes into the back line, finds one. Can he find the other one as well? Rest of the team is cleaning up. Professor Hex, the last one standing, and he will get to recall. But it's the Elder Dragon going over to Dare Maroon, and you gotta think that the game is not too far behind.
Not just the Elder here, Audio. Going to be the Baron as well. You have to imagine they're going to walk their way up to the top side, collect themselves their second big objective in about 30-second time span here. You're looking at that fight. We highlighted it before. Keep your eyes on Supreme. Hybrid is unable to find the disengage. He's unable to cause enough distraction and goes in just a little too early. Needing to play reactively, doesn't respect what needs to go down in this fight. And you can see they're coming away with a big ulti in the back end of it. Snow 2 is able to cause enough disruption, cause enough damage to take down almost everybody across the Aquatik's roster. Only the Victor walks away to safety, but he is of little to no use when trying to defend against the Baron. If he steps anywhere near this Akali, anywhere near this Hecarim, that's just another robot to the slaughter.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 32 minutes into the game now. And, you know, when we're looking at the rest of this game, we expect it to be closed out pretty quickly. And Dare Maroon, you know, when we're thinking of this game and their storyline, if they want to really set the tone of being dominant, especially after that game 1 where they did close it out fairly quickly, a nice clean ending would help a long way for that. So we'll see if
Oh my God.
Aquatik has anything left in the tank. Is that True Shot Barrage almost one-shots some people with the Elder Dragon execute in mind.
Yeah, and this is a very, very challenging hold here. Baron plus Elder.
Atlas doesn't care at all. He's going to go in, see what he can find. Take it down very low, but HKV is the first casualty. Forsack going to follow not too far after. Is able to get back to the safety of his fountain, and Snow doing what he can to play just goalkeeper, keep away. Keep everybody locked into their fountain. Is gonna go golden, and that's the game. Gonna be finished up. Dare Maroon starting the season off with a 2-1 victory over Aquatik Esports.
You know, and the games that they won, I'll say, were fairly convincing for me. But slight questions about their drafting were definitely made note of in game number 2. But there's no doubting these guys' capabilities. There's no doubting that these guys can play through not only mid lane, but, you know, jungle as well. We saw it in game number 1. So I will be looking to see how well they can translate that into the rest of the season, if this trend continues, or if this is a bit of a flash in the pan, really, for the rest of everything else.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the roster and the players that are on it, you do expect them to, you know, have some performance, have some things to show us here. Coming from Wichita Wolves, which has been an organization that has been around for a couple of years, we see them do fairly well across their multiple titles, and it's a great program. So I'm very excited to now see these players that have gotten some of that experience to come out onto Dare Maroon and really, you know, make another name for themselves, really make a run. Winter Zero, Atlas, Snow, Kuro, Applause. These guys, they're going to make a smash in the UML. I can already feel it. And we have so much more League of Legends to come. It's going to be all for tonight, but make sure you guys tune in same time, same place next week. And we'll have some more action for you then. Rudude, any last words before we wrap up the stream?
It was a pleasure tonight. Thank you as well to Andy behind the scenes, poking all of those buttons, making us look great on air. And thanks as well to you, Audio, for being a wonderful caster partner.
Aw. Well, thank you very much. And to all of the audience, thank you so much for tuning in. The extra thank you to those who stuck through the entire broadcast. Make sure you guys are staying tuned to the UEA social medias as well, so that you can catch all of the action that they have across multiple titles, across multiple leagues that really do it all when it comes to esports. So you don't want to miss a thing. We'll see you next time, guys. Until then.
Let the dancing begin. I didn't see that coming.
of silence. A moment 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 of silence.
A classic, and at the same time, progressive.